legendary. And yellowbook.com. The moment you need it, Yellow Book it.
The Chicago Cubs, and there's Carlos Zambrano, tonight's starting pitcher, saying hello to Lou Piniella and exchanging the secret handshake with one of his teammates there. We're very fortunate to have seen that. You don't often get to see that secret handshake. Lou Piniella, third season as the Cubs manager. And, of course, the Cubs won the National League Central title each of his first 2 years. A fall from grace, perhaps. Although we'll see. Meanwhile, the Cubs batting order presented by Taco Bell. Kosuke Fukudome in center field. Bobby Scales, longtime minor leaguer, and an infielder at that. He's in left field. Derek Lee, big year, first base. Aramis Ramirez at third. Micah Hoffpower in right field. Giovanni Soto, the catcher. Mike Fontenot at second. Andres Blanco at shortstop. Zambrano, the pitcher, who is also an excellent hitter. And on the mound for the St. Louis Cardinals, there is Adam Wainwright. 18 wins, 8 losses. He leads the league in victories. And his first pitcher tonight, and right there to grab it, is Ludwig. There is one away.
And let's take a look at Adam Wainwright. His number is 18-8, and he's also 3-0 against the Cubs this year. Has 1.87 earned run average since the All-Star break. He has been really tough down the stretch here for the Cardinals. And if I had a vote today, John, he would get my vote for the Cy Young Award.
Well, he has been a pillar of strength, that is for sure. Here is Bobby Scales. Shows bunt, takes a called strike. 67 degrees, the official game time temperature, and rather humid, but just sort of ideal for playing a ball game. Bobby Scales hitting .250. The Cubs outfield is largely missing now with the suspension of Milton Bradley, injuries. Alfonso Soriano is out for the year, and also Jeremy Reed out for the year. And that off-speed pitch, a swinging strike, and it's 1-2. And I'm saying Jeremy Reed. I got Jeremy Reed is in my head. Reed Johnson is the guy who's missing. Jeremy Reed is just fine.
Yeah, with the Mets.
With the Mets, yeah. There's that big curve, and that is a signature pitch. We'll see a lot of that, if it's working like that, from Wainwright tonight.
Well, if he keeps getting swings and misses, he's not going to need the defense behind him. But when they do put it in play, the Cardinals' defense has been exceptional this year. Matt Holliday in left field, Rick Ankiel covering a lot of ground with that strong arm in center field. Ryan Ludwig in right field, so strong arms around the outfield. Mark DeRosa at third base on a terrific errorless streak. Brendan Ryan at short. Skip Schumacher converted from the outfield to second base, and Albert Pujols at first. And Yadier Molina, one of the best throwers in the game, behind the plate.
Derek Lee, and he's putting up the big numbers this year. This has been a return to form for Derek Lee, especially starting maybe mid to late May. That's when he really got it going. He's hit 22 of those home runs since July the 1st, the most in the majors. 33 homers overall for Lee, 103 RBIs, 303 batting average, and it'd be hard pressed to find anybody except maybe an opposing manager who wasn't happy about the fact that Lee is doing well. He's one of the great gentlemen of the game. Big curveball, just barely got a piece of that one. Strike 2.
And he has been struggling with injuries the last couple of years, as we see Wainwright throw this great curveball. This is his out pitch. We saw him in the World Series with this. We saw him strike out Carlos Beltran to end the League Championship Series with that great curveball.
In under the hands, that is Brendan Ryan, and the inning is over. 1-2-3. Strong beginning for Adam Wainwright. Albert Pujols will be coming up third. Schumacher, DeRosa, then Albert. Holliday would be due fourth. Carlos Zambrano will be facing them when we come back. No score in the game as we go to the last half of the first inning. The Cardinals are coming up against Carlos Zambrano and Skip Schumacher to lead off. Cardinals batting order presented by Taco Bell. Schumacher at second, DeRosa at third, Albert Pujols having another spectacular year. First base, Matt Holliday, who's been on fire since coming back to the National League as a Cardinal. Ryan Ludwig in right field, 89 runs batted in. Rick Ankiel in center field. Yadier Molina, the all-star catcher. Brendan Ryan, who's been sensational at shortstop. And Adam Wainwright is the pitcher batting ninth. And there is Carlos Zambrano. And first ball swinging. Schumacher to left. And Scales. There is Huawei.
All right, talking about Carlos Zambrano. This will be the first season he has not reached 13 wins in his career. You see his record 8-6 this year. He's been on the disabled list a couple times with 70 walks. It's always a nemesis for him. 255 opponent's batting average, but when you take a look at that, it breaks down in a different way. The first time through the order, he really shuts down the opponent with that outstanding sinker ball, but as the game goes along, he doesn't change up his look a lot, and the hitters catch up to him.
And there's ball one to Mark DeRosa from Zambrano. Zambrano, 14 wins last year, 18 the year before. That was hit sharply, but handled by Fontenot. And DeRosa, a former Cub, is out number 2.
Well, that's one look at the Cubs defense. Let's start in the outfield. You mentioned in the outfield, you got Bobby Scales, who is actually an infielder, playing the outfield. Kosuke Fukudome in center, and Matt Hoffpauir in right. Ramirez at third, Andres Blanco at short, Mike Fontenot at second base, and the Gold Glove winner Derek Lee, and Giovanni Soto, last year's Rookie of the Year.
Here is Albert Pujols, very high for ball one. This is an interesting matchup. The power ace of the Cubs against the power hitter of the Cardinals. In the dirt.
Albert Pujols has had some success against Carlos Zambrano in his career. 5 home runs. Most of them on any active pitcher that Pujols has tagged.
It was interesting. I watched before the ball game. They had a long conversation there. I was thinking if he beat up on me like that, I don't know if I talked to him before the game, meaning Zambrano and Pujols talked for about 10 minutes.
I think Zambrano's looking for hitting tips. He's,
okay.
He's 4 home runs this year. He's looking for some hitting tips.
Zambrano's such a good hitter. Maybe Albert was picking his brain.
Maybe.
And that's down and away. Albert does have those 5 homers against Zambrano, but at 59 at bats. Yeah, this is the meeting they were having before the game.
And John, it lasted a long time. We were talking to Tony La Russa, and all the time we were talking, they were talking.
At the knees for a called strike. Now it's 3-1 to Albert Pujols. 47 home runs for Albert. I asked him if Holliday hitting behind him has been beneficial to him. He said, well, it's been beneficial to the team.
Right.
Albert hits a high foul that will go out of play. But he said, hey, look at my numbers. I've actually not hit as well in the second half since we've had Holliday as I hit before. He says, probably I maybe have gotten more pitches to hit, but it seems like the pitchers are still pitching me just as carefully and as tough as ever.
Well, you'd rather pitch to Holliday than to pitch to Pujols, so you're not going to pitch to Pujols thinking, well, you know, I don't want to face Holliday. So you don't pitch him any differently.
Yeah, so I guess unless you're thinking he's going to see some pitches right down the middle, because Holliday's coming up next and they don't want to walk him. They're still going to pitch him tough.
Like that.
And it is a walk. He walked it, and that was the kind of a pitch that he risked the walk, even with Holliday coming up. So if he was going to get a pitch to hit, that would have been it.
Well, he was being careful with him right there, trying to keep it in the ballpark. But Matt Holliday this year, after an Albert Pujols walk, is hitting .417, hitting .315 in his other at-bats. So he has made the opposition pay when they've walked Albert Pujols.
Well, that's what Albert was saying. It's been good for the team because he helps pick up those RBIs that Albert doesn't get a chance to drive in. But it definitely hasn't helped Albert.
That's a base hit, left center field. Albert around second, digging for third. Fukudome will throw to second. First ball hitting, and Holliday, who has driven in 49 runs in 51 games as a Cardinal. And, of course, Albert's one of the guys he's been driving in a lot.
Well, John, when you talk about the best player in the game, it has to be more than just hitting. He's a great defensive first baseman, and he runs the bases aggressively. He'll steal a base for you. He does everything on a baseball field, and that's why Albert Pujols is the best player in the game. I mean, look at this. He's right away, he decides, I'm going to get to third base. And we've often talked about the fact that you try to get to third base even with 2 outs because there are at least 9 ways you can score from third that you couldn't score from second with 2 outs. So he always tries to get to third base.
Now Ryan Ludwig, and he belts one. That's deep, left center. Fukudome. Oh, what a play! And hopefully he's okay. He hit the wall and then hit the deck. And you saw the left fielder, Bobby Scales, immediately signaling, hey, we better get somebody out here to have a look at him. Carlos Zambrano very concerned. He was headed to the dugout. Now he's over by third base. And Fukudome's up. Trainers are heading out there, but Fukudome coming off the field under his own power. What a play by Fukudome.
Well, he saved at least 2 runs, John.
At least 2.
I mean, that's a fabulous catch. And he goes right into the wall. Thank goodness for the padded walls.
Left shoulder, maybe the left rib cage. Thanks very much, says Carlos Zambrano. No score. Aramis Ramirez coming up. Aramis Ramirez leads off for the Cubs. The cleanup hitter pops one up, way up there, and there is Albert Pujols. Gone away.
Everybody's swinging at the first pitch on both sides here because they know that they have good pitchers. Let's take a look at this play again by Kosuke Fukudome, because I'll tell you something. There were, until Marvin Miller came, the outfield walls were not padded, and that would have really hurt. This is a great play by Fukudome, which allows outfielders to run into the walls now and sometimes not be injured. But we have to remember those walls will not move, and before they did not have padding on them for a lot of years. You see him rubbing the left side of his face, which is what he hit the wall with.
He's used to ivy being on the wall at Wrigley Field, and bricks behind that.
Well, quite a play. It looked like he may have hit his head, and then you saw the reaction shot there.
I mean, they're working fast, John. They're swinging fast. I'm telling you.
Micah Hoffpower has grounded out. 2 down.
They do not want to get behind in the count to these great pitchers because they can put you away. And normally, as we take a look at the wall, there you see the padding on the wall there, and there is some concrete behind it, as you can see. But I tell you, they know that Zambrano is going to come after them with a fastball, so they're sitting dead red, and they're trying to get a pitch they can hit. With Wainwright, they do not want to face that tough curveball.
Here's Giovanni Soto. He took one. 1 ball to no strike. Hey, we have some time for anecdotes now.
Yeah.
If you like,
4 score and 7 years ago.
well, with Wainwright, is it that big hook? They feel like they got to be aggressive early, swinging a fastball if they get one.
Well, if either one of these guys, if I get that first fastball where you want it, you're supposed to swing. But, I mean, you're going to get a couple of fastballs from Zambrano.
Ooh, look at that, the slide piece.
But you still want, if you get one that you think you can handle, you go after it. And the Cardinals are an aggressive team anyway, though.
Giovanni Soto having a great year last year. He was everybody's favorite, hitting only .225 this year, 11 home runs. Right there, outside corner, got him looking. So much for being patient. Rick Ankiel coming up against Zambrano.
I got it.
So, 49ers won again.
Yeah, I watched them. The 49ers are tough. That guy, what's his name, ran 80 and 79 yards.
Now the Cardinals. Here is Rick Ankiel against Carlos Zambrano. And ball one. Ankiel, left-handed hitter with power. Although he got off to a slow start this year, then got injured banging into an outfield wall. Zambrano was just a sensational athlete. He can hit, and he moves like a cat around the mound. It kind of reminds me of Andres Galarraga, El Gato Grande.
Well, he pitches with passion, and he has that energy on the mound when he's right. And he finishes his delivery, gets himself in a fielding position to be able to recover, moves his feet. That's good feet right there, being able to recover, turn, and to make the strong, accurate throw to first base. You see that athleticism we're talking about right there, reaching for the ball, because if that gets beyond his reach, that's an infield hit.
So Ankiel retired. Here is Yadier Molina, one of the catching Molina brothers. And there are a lot of them. He is the baby. But right now, he's having more success than any of the others. He's got his middle brother, Jose Molina, backup catcher with the Yankees. And the first Molina brother, who's a catcher, is Benji Molina with the Giants.
Hitting fourth.
Until this week, all of a sudden, a couple times he's batted fifth this week.
Yeah, but he was hitting fourth for the last year and a half. I mean, after Barry Bonds left, he became the fourth place hitter.
2-0 to Yadier Molina. And there is Fontenot. And two men gone very quickly against Zambrano. 2-0, nobody on, and Brendan Ryan will come up. The hunt for October continues on ESPN Wednesday. A doubleheader at 7 Eastern. The Phillies and the Florida Marlins. The Phillies getting close to another division title in the National League East. Then at 10 Eastern, the San Francisco Giants try to stay alive. They take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Giants lost today in L.A. While the Rockies won in Arizona, the Giants are now 4.5 back. And that one hit Brendan Ryan, who was yesterday's hero for the Cardinals. He drove in the winning run. Earlier hit a home run. He was responsible for the 2 Cardinal runs, and now he gets nailed by Carlos Zambrano.
We didn't look at the lineup to start with, but, you know, Tony La Russa usually hits his, remember, pitcher 8th. And instead he had Ryan up there, and he fastball. You can see it tailing in. Just looked like it may have grazed the shirt.
Well, sometimes for Carlos Zambrano, that front shoulder flies open, and the ball, his arm kind of lags behind. The ball tails into the right-handed hitter. You see his delivery. He comes flying up with that front shoulder. He's got that 2-seam fastball that goes running into the hitter, and that's why he throws so many fastballs without throwing 97, 98, because of the great movement he has on that pitch.
Adam Wainwright has some power, hitting only 148, but a couple of home runs, and the slider is swinging strike 2. Wainwright 5 career home runs. Wainwright not quite in the class of Zambrano. Zambrano is one of the best hitting pitchers in the game. 0-2 the count to Adam Wainwright. And he had a pretty good rip at that one. Now, Tony La Russa often will take it personally when one of his players gets hit, and this was his reaction after Brendan Ryan got hit there. And we may have that revisited a little bit later in this game, when Wainwright himself is on the hill. And the ball is fouled by Wainwright, still 0-2.
You see that movement on the fastball from Zambrano, and he throws almost 75% fastballs. The average major league pitcher throws about 63%. And the reason he throws so many is because of the movement, that sinking action, that tailing action that he ends up jamming a lot of right-handed hitters with.
Well, it is the 9th batter hit by Zambrano this year. And that fastball with a little cut to it ran off the outside at 95 miles an hour. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Wainwright, who's giving him a battle. He's been up to, I think he's seen more pitches than any Cardinal hitter so far tonight.
I think you're right. You may see a slider here, too.
Well, the one thing with Zambrano, though, is not just the fastball. His variations off his fastball. Some will cut, some will sink, and then he'll take a little bit off every once in a while, and he really turns it over when he does that.
Ryan, the runner at first. And there's that sinker, bounce foul.
So technically he's throwing maybe 3 different pitches instead of just 1, but that's what he does. And, you know, we were talking about the fact he hasn't had a great season, but he's still 8-6. And if you look at his numbers on the road, he's had 13 starts. He's 3.03 on the road, and the Cardinals have beaten him up. He's had 10 earned runs against the Cardinals in 13 innings. So he's pitched well against other teams.
He's been on the disabled list twice this year. And talking to Lou Piniella, one of the major issues for Carlos Zambrano this offseason is to get in shape. He can no longer do what he's been doing throughout his career to get ready for a season and maintain during the season. He's at a point now he has to do more in order to get the same performance. So they're looking for him to step up his conditioning program to get right for the 2010 season.
He's averaged just under 6 innings per start, which is not what they need from the ace. They need a lot more than that. And there's the cutter again. We're seeing those 3 fastballs in each of the last 3 pitches here from Zambrano. My problem is, said Zambrano, I've been lazy. There are things in life that you don't like, but you have to do. I don't like to do abs, but I will have to start doing my abs every day and be serious about my abs. It's an ab thing.
Well, I think you only want abs if you're going to put on a swimsuit and go around the beach. You need to do your whole core so that your back, everything is strong. So, you know, don't just work on the abs, big fella. Work on everything.
Now, you and I and Steve,
we can go abs.
We can do some abs.
That's good.
I think that's
go down to the beach.
Maybe we've been lazy long enough. It's ab time. He finally got it. But Wainwright coaxed quite a few pitches from Zambrano. A 10-pitch battle. On to the 3rd, Fontenot, Blanco, and then Zambrano against Wainwright. No score.
Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell, brought to you by Chevy, honoring the spirit of community by supporting the 2009 Roberto Clemente Award. And One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB, specially formulated for men.
And there's ball one from Adam Wainwright to Mike Fontenot, hitting 7th in the order for the Cubs. Fontenot, we mentioned how Soto's year has been so much worse this year than last year, and it's pretty much the same story with Fontenot, who hits a base hit to center and becomes the first base runner of the night for the Cubs. No score in the game here. And let's go to the studio. Here's Matt Weiner with a Sports Center right now. Thanks, Matt. And here is Andres Blanco with a runner at first, and back to the bag goes Fontenot. Fontenot last year, remember, he was a guy who was playing against mostly right-handed pitching, and he was a pinch hitter against right-handers and whatnot, but he put up big numbers, and the Cubs decided, well, they could let Mark DeRosa go because they thought Fontenot was ready to play full-time at second base. And, of course, one of the reasons for letting DeRosa go was to free up salary to get a left-handed bat. They thought a little too right-handed last year, or maybe a lot too right-handed. And they got Milton Bradley. And I know, Joe, that you expressed some reservations about DeRosa being gone before the season ever started. Here is Blanco popping one up, foul. Javier Molina comes back, and it's over the screen, out of play. Anyway, turns out Fontenot was not quite ready for prime time this year. Playing on an everyday basis, he hadn't even come close to the numbers he had last year.
Well, it wasn't just his offense for Mark DeRosa. He's a good guy in the clubhouse. He's a guy on the team. He helped. You know, there was a difference in the Cubs team last year. I mean, I enjoyed watching them. They seemed to be having fun. That never, this year, from the first time we saw them, I think I mentioned that they were not as good a team this year as they were last year. And it's proven that they definitely were not, but there are a lot of reasons, you know, other than just Mark DeRosa.
That is strike 3 called to Blanco.
That big breaking curveball we've talked about.
Lou Piniella talked about the chemistry of this team. It's just not the chemistry that they've seen before. You take a look at that breaking ball, just gives up on it. Looks like it's starting out of the zone. Blanco takes that pitch, gives up on it. You see the finger up on Adam Wainwright. He's got his index finger up off the ball. He's spinning it over his middle finger and be able to get that rotation on the pitch to break it into the zone.
And the look from K-Zone, brought to you by Ford. Here is Carlos Zambrano, switch hitter. And that is the high strike with a slider. Zambrano is hitting .213, but in 61 at-bats, he's got 4 home runs, 9 runs batted in.
And 20 in his career. I think the last guy to get 20 was Milt Pappas.
It was 36 years ago. The last time a pitcher reached 20 home runs in a career. A ball and a strike.
He's not done accumulating either, because he goes up there swinging for the fences. I mean, he's got that mentality of swing hard in case you hit it.
So you have to pitch to him just like any other power hitter then. Not just like facing a pitcher. And the slider just off the inside, and it is 2-1. Zambrano, the first pitcher with home runs in 7 consecutive seasons since J.R. Richard, the Houston Astros, did it. Warren Spahn homered in each of 17 consecutive years. Great Hall of Famer, 363 career wins. Well, greatest pitchers of all time.
I think he's the most underrated pitcher of all time. Like you say, 363 wins. And then when they start talking about great pitchers, you have to wait a while before you get to Warren Spahn. And I always thought that he was one of the greatest pitchers ever and that he doesn't get credit for it. But in his day, he could bunt. Meaning Warren Spahn, I played against him my first year only, guys. But he could hit, he could run. I mean, he could do everything. He ran the bases well. He was an excellent player.
He pitched a 16-inning game in San Francisco when he was, 42 years old.
Yeah, but that was the end, he said. He said he still had some pretty good, decent time. It starts after that, he said, but that really took a lot out of him that night.
3-2 the count. He was up against another future Hall of Famer, Juan Marichal, who was much, much younger. And they went 16, and finally Willie Mays homered against Spahn in the 16th for the only run of the game.
Surprise, surprise.
The big curveball, the runner gone. It's a steal. Brendan Ryan thought they had him. Fontenot gets the steal as Zambrano strikes out.
And that's unusual for the Cubs because they do not steal bases. I mean, they are just a station-to-station kind of a baseball team now. And good breaking ball down. Yadier Molina comes up, fires. He actually makes a pretty good throw down there considering that he was a low curveball. But he was safe. He did get in on the infield side.
How about the way that Zambrano pitched to Wainwright, how Wainwright pitched to Zambrano, 3-2 curveball.
Both of them are a threat with the bat. Here is Fukudome, who took a couple of runs away from the Cardinals with a great catch on a deep fly ball hit by Ludwig in the first inning. Zambrano back in the dugout now after the strikeout. It's tough getting pitched to like a cleanup hitter when you're a pitcher.
Yeah, right. You know, Joe, you talked about how the lack of stolen bases for the Cubs, and talking to Lou Piniella, he said as they look ahead to next year, they need some speed. They need some ability to manufacture runs, and Fukudome can get on base but doesn't have that kind of speed. They also need a run producer in the middle of the lineup behind Ramirez and Derek Lee, and they need a change in chemistry.
Well, they've been looking for that guy to hit behind the fifth place hitter for 3 years now. They brought Fukudome in. They thought he could be the left-handed hitter behind him. That didn't work. They brought Milton Bradley in to hit behind him. That hasn't worked. So you're right. They're going to have to find someone that can hit in that fifth slot. But I'm going to go one further. I don't care if I'm the Cubs. I don't care if he's right-handed or left-handed.
Just bring in a good hitter.
Bring in a good hitter. Exactly. I really believe the Cubs bought in too much to the fact that they were beaten by the Dodgers last year, you know, with the right-handed pitching. Look, they had the best record in the league all year. They faced all kind of pitching, right, left, whatever. So I just think if you're a good hitter, you can hit. It's the same thing I'm saying about the Cardinals. If you're a good hitter, you're going to handle all kinds of pitching. I mean, in an ideal situation, sure, you'd like to have a left-handed hitter. But they've tried that twice now and spent a lot of money doing it, and it has not worked out. So what are you going to do?
And to your point, the Philadelphia Phillies, we always say, well, all those left-handed bats in the middle of the lineup, but they seem to do okay. And we talk about the Cardinals, all these right-handed bats, they should be able to pound left-handers, and they struggle a little bit against left-handed pitching. So, you know, it's not necessarily the type of hitter, which side of the plate they are. You just need a good hitter.
A good hitter, exactly.
3-2 to Fukudome. And he fouls one again. A runner in scoring position. Fontenot at second in a scoreless game is an important at bat here for Fukudome against Adam Wainwright to try and put the Cubs ahead. Well, you just saw Jim Hendry, the general manager, who's on the phone right now. Again, he suspended Milton Bradley for the rest of the year before today's game. 3-2 the count. And it's a walk for Fukudome. So he'll go to first with 2 down, 2 men on. And Bobby Scales will come up. Milton Bradley signed to a 3-year, $30 million contract, reportedly, by the Cubs in January. Hit only .257 for the Cubs with 12 homers, 40 batted in. So he just never really got it going with the bat. And he was suspended today by the Cubs for the remainder of the season.
Remember, he's just a year removed from leading the American League in OPS.
Check swing and a foul by Bobby Scales. On Thursday, Bradley, playing a game with the Cardinals, he left with left knee inflammation after hitting a single in the 6th inning. And he just walked off the field. And then when I was asked by the reporters after the game about it, he said, "What else you got?" "I got knee inflammation," he said, adding it was the result of a previous surgery. He was in yesterday's lineup and removed himself an hour before the game. But the Cubs have held no press conference. They haven't put out any kind of a press release. We did have a quote from Jim Hendry from ESPNChicago.com that we ran at the top of the telecast from Jim Hendry. 0-2 the count to Scales, and that ball in the dirt from Wainwright, that big curveball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The quote from ESPNChicago.com. Recently, it's become intolerable to hear Milton talk about our great fans the way he has. So at this time, we felt it was best for him to go home for the rest of the season. End quote.
Well, we know he got off to a slow start. The fans did get on him some, and you know he made some mental mistakes as well as physical mistakes that they got on him about. So it did not work well for him from the beginning of the season.
There's that curveball again, and he puts Bobby Scales away. Wainwright strikes out the side here in the third. A single and a walk, 2 stranded. Albert Pujols will be coming up third. Schumacher, DeRosa, and the big man Pujols when we come back. Pujols, the great Cardinal slugger. Cubs nothing, Cardinals nothing. Last of the third coming up. Albert due up third against Carlos Zambrano.
Well, John, we're going to take a look at how you generate power as a hitter. We're going to take a look at 2 of the fine hitters in the game. We're going to start with Derek Jeter, who is also a big guy. Derek Jeter, 6'3", over 200 pounds, but he kind of pushes the bat through. He doesn't use his hands. Watch, he uses his body and upper body to generate bat speed. See how he just fights the ball off. Now watch, he does not use his hands. See how they just push through? He pushes the ball through, but it works for him. It's a very unique swing. I don't think anyone else swings like that in the game that has that kind of success. And then a guy like Albert Pujols, who generates more power. We saw the ball right down the middle of the plate to Jeter. He goes the other way.
There's Schumacher taking a sinker for a called strike from Zambrano.
We're going to show you Albert Pujols, and you'll see the difference in his way of attacking the ball.
Zambrano, another slider in there. Strike 2. Schumacher hit a fly ball to left on the first pitch he saw from Zambrano. Well, Albert Pujols, I know many times you've shown that swing. It's such a level, almost perfect swing. It stays in the zone perhaps longer than anybody's swing has ever stayed in the zone.
And that's what is very impressive about him. He stays in the zone without coming off of his back foot. One of the great hitters in the history of the game, Stan Musial, if you picture his swing, he kind of slid forward off of that back foot to keep the bat level longer. And
we're in an era now where a lot of power hitters get that big leg kick, but Pujols doesn't have that leg kick. He kind of rolls his toe and then brings the heel down to the ground and brings the backside through.
There's that Stan Musial swing. See how his back foot has come forward up on the toe, sliding forward. See how straight his body is? That keeps the bat in the hitting zone longer.
There's Fontenot. Schumacher out number 1.
Now let's take a look at this almost perfect swing that we talked about with Albert Pujols. Now watch, he's 6'3" and over 200 pounds as well, but he generates more bat speed with his hands. Ball in the same spot as Jeter's, but watch how his hands fly through the zone. You see him even takes his top hand off because he's extending through the zone, as John's talking about. He wants that bat to stay level. He doesn't want to cut off the swing by rolling his top hand over. But his lower part of his body, he uses his legs a lot better than Jeter does, but they're 2 different types of hitters. But Jeter's works for him, and Albert definitely works for him.
Why do you think, Joe, that more hitters don't at least acknowledge what Derek Jeter does, that inside-out approach? I mean, there's not more guys doing it the way Jeter does.
Well, first of all, we underestimate the strength that Jeter has. Jeter's very strong. I mean, you'll see him a lot of times. They'll jam him, and he'll fight that ball off, and it'll be a single to right field. You have to be strong and able to do that. And a lot of guys just don't have the upper body strength to be able to do that.
I'm advising Jeter to just keep doing what he's been
exactly.
doing.
That's why it's a unique swing, and it works for him.
So, Derek, if you're watching right now, don't worry about it. That's Albert's thing, but you just keep doing what you're doing. I feel that I think it's probably going to be best for him just to keep doing that.
Well, that's why we use Derek, because you don't want to change what he does. He's just a different type of hitter. And like I say, it's unique unto Derek. I mean, no one else swings like that. I mean, he swings at that ball inside like this and flips it over second baseman's head, and everybody thinks it's luck. It's not luck. He does it consistently because he keeps the barrel level, in that zone right there. But he is such a good hitter, meaning Derek Jeter. I mean, he almost won a batting championship a couple of years ago. He's hitting well over 300 now. So, I mean, he's just a good hitter.
And more hits than any Yankee in the long, glorious history of the Yankees. More than the Babe, more than Lou Gehrig. He broke Lou Gehrig's hits record just a few days ago.
Man.
Derek Jeter always has among the most opposite field hits for a right-handed hitter. He and Michael Young. Michael Young has a little bit more strength, a little bit more conventional swing than Jeter, but has that same mentality of going back the other way, keeping your hands inside the ball and punching it the other way.
Strike 3 called. DeRosa, after a battle, called out on strikes, a fastball on the inside from Zambrano.
I was wondering if he's going to take another close one. Great pitch. That's what we're talking about with Zambrano. He threw one, a cutter away. The ball, his fastball went away. Then he came right back inside with a fastball there to DeRosa for the strikeout. And we always talk about Albert. Albert always talks, when we talk to him, John, he always talks about his hands and how he uses his hands. With Jeter, is kind of just the opposite.
So here is Albert. The big curveball off the outside for ball one. Real slow curveball, 68 miles an hour from Zambrano. Pujols 47 homers, 39 doubles. Slider is down and away. And 47 homers and only 518 official at bats. So what's that? One homer every 11 official at bats.
But Johnny's actually struggling. He hasn't hit a home run since September the 9th. He hit his 40th home run, so it's been about 10 days since he hit his last home run.
He's hit his 46th and 47th on that day.
You see Zambrano, how careful he's being. Everything on the outer part of the plate, trying to keep it away from Pujols.
I'm guessing that since then, what we're seeing from Zambrano is probably what Albert's been seeing
I think
every day since
that's what I was getting ready to tell you. See, I don't think he's afraid that Matt Holliday's behind him.
No.
And Albert thought that was ball 4, maybe a little bit too high, but Todd Titchener said no.
Well, watch how this pitch reacts, though, John. It starts away and then tails back, and it catches the top of the strike zone. Right at the top.
3-1. That sounded like he broke his bat. And the inning is over. Blanco throws him out. On to the 4th inning. The big hitters for the Cubs coming up, starting with D. Lee. Taco Bell. Welcome back to Busch Stadium, downtown St. Louis. The big crowd. Cardinal fans in abundance, as always, and a lot of Cubs fans also in attendance, as always, when the Cubs are in town. There's ball one to Derek Lee. Been a frustrating year for the Cubs in so many respects, but especially in those head-to-head games with their arch rivals, the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cubs are 5-10 against the Cardinals. They've lost 5 games to the Cardinals, in which the Cardinals had 3 runs or less, including each of the first 2 games of this series. The last time that has happened to the Cubs, where the Cardinals beat them as many as 5 times with 3 runs or less, was 36 years ago. But so they pitched well enough to beat the Cardinals and to have dominated the season series.
Well, they've also been, this is the first time they've won the season series since 2004.
That curveball to Albert Pujols and Wainwright covering. And Derek Lee is 0 for 2. He grounded it short his first time. But that Wainwright curveball, there aren't many better in the game today than the big hook thrown by Adam Wainwright.
No, you're right. He really is a lot like Chris Carpenter. Carpenter has that same sort of curveball, and he's really, I think, followed the footsteps. The St. Louis Cardinals starting rotation has really been a team within the team. They kind of watch each other's side sessions and learn from each other. You see that breaking ball right there, starting at the knees, breaking down out of the zone. All you can do is hit the top of it. But they really have. Dave Duncan has created this team within the team. They watch each other's side session. They critique each other. They talk to each other. They learn from each other. Joel Pinheiro has that one-seam sinker he throws. He has shared that grip with his teammates, and Adam Wainwright now throws it 30% of the time. Chris Carpenter has dabbled with it some as well.
Now, we asked Wainwright if he wouldn't mind showing us that grip that Pinheiro taught him. He says, I'm not going to divulge
Joel's secret.
Yeah. So Aramis Ramirez with a count of 0-2 facing Wainwright, the Cubs slugging cleanup man, and there's the curve in the dirt for a ball. Cardinals starters and Wainwright himself, when we talked to him, was effusive in his praise for Carpenter and how much he's learned from Carpenter, how much sharing of information with Wainwright Carpenter was willing to do. There's John Smoltz, another veteran who's joined this group, and there's the hook for the strikeout. And that is 6 strikeouts in 3 2/3 innings for Wainwright.
Well, one of the reasons that the curveball is so effective is very few pitchers throw a really good curveball. You see more sliders, you see more changeups nowadays. If you have that good overhand curveball, man, it is tough to hit. And I mean, look at that. I mean, he starts it in the strike zone. They're chasing it, but that ball actually starts in the strike zone, and you chase it out of the strike zone. So it was a strike at one point there.
Now you saw that grip in slow motion with the close-up, with the index finger and whatnot high above the ball. Do you see that in actual time if you're a hitter?
Sometimes you can, yes.
Hoffpower, he got jammed and he pulls it into the Cardinal dugout.
Sometimes as a hitter you can see maybe the one finger that Pinheiro talks about. You can see a finger if it's off the ball because you're watching. That's where you're watching that area, and you might can see it. Everyone can't, but some guys can. Well, right there it is. It's difficult from here because you're using the camera, but if you're standing in the batter's box and you're zeroing in on the release point, you can see if his finger's off.
We're television.
Well,
that's what we do.
Yeah, but
we use a camera.
Yeah, but
okay. Now, did you see it?
Yeah, but my eyes are better than the camera. Let's put it that way.
All I know is I looked at it and I realized I couldn't hit it.
Well, my eyes are better than the camera. I can't see it in the camera.
Yeah.
But you could. Well, that one, see those things.
That last one was not a curveball.
Oh, okay, but you can see that. And if you're in the batter's box and you have good eyesight,
but that last one, the fact you couldn't see it meant he didn't throw it, which he didn't. So you did see it. Hoffpower hit one hard, but right into the glove of Ludwig. Matt Holliday will be coming up. 4 shutout innings from Wainwright. Zambrano back to the hill. More power for the Cardinals. no score. Last of the fourth inning. Two AFC playoff teams from a year ago battle tomorrow night on ESPN Monday Night Football as the Indianapolis Colts take on the Miami Dolphins. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 7 Eastern Time, 4 Pacific, 6 here in the Central Time Zone. I'm John Miller with Hall of Famer Joe Morgan, former Big League General Manager Steve Phillips. Cubs and Cardinals, no score, last of the fourth, and Matt Holliday at the plate. Holliday, 49 RBIs and 196 at bats for the Cardinals. The last two Cardinal players to get as that many RBIs and as few hits or as few at bats as Holliday has a grand total of 69. Well, he got his 70th hit his first time. The last guy to do that, though, with that many RBIs was Albert Pujols, and the guy before that, Reggie Smith. Reggie played here back in the 70s as Holliday draws a leadoff walk from Zambrano. 2 walks allowed by Zambrano, and now Ludwig will come up.
Carlos Zambrano's smile on his face because I think he thought that last pitch was a strike, and I think when he gets a little frustrated, he gets that kind of wry smile on his face. See that ball, that sinker ball down in the zone. He's thinking strike, and Matt Holliday thought it was a strike as well. He's looking to look at a 2-1 pitch, and Zambrano gets a little chuckle out of it. But Todd Tischner, the home plate umpire, he likes the high strikes. We saw it on the call to Albert Pujols. We saw it last week in the game we did as well. But that ball down in the zone, he gave to the hitter.
So we had Tischner behind the plate in Philadelphia last Sunday.
Well, the weird part is a lot of times it's the guys go where the guy catches the ball. It's where it crosses not the plate, but the front of the plate.
Here is Ryan Ludwig. Ludwig got robbed by Fukudome, who not only robbed him of extra bases, but of a couple of RBIs. With 2 men on and 2 men out in the first inning, Fukudome made a spectacular catch on the dead run and then banged into the padded wall out there. And that ended the inning with nobody scoring.
And Ludwig has 89 RBIs, John. He's obviously like to get to 100 again. And that would have been at least 2.
Ludwig got off to a slow start this year. He spent time on the disabled list. And he spent a lot of years in the minor leagues as a sort of a journeyman player. And he blossomed big time last year. So 100 RBIs would be a big deal for him. But he lost 2 on this play in the first inning. Fukudome, what a catch. And then he held it. And we feared that maybe he'd hurt himself. He looked like he banged the side of his head and was rubbing his left cheek as he came off the field with a trainer. Zambrano changing speeds, strikes out Ludwig.
Ryan Ludwig, the Cardinals are a little bit concerned because he has cooled down, particularly the power numbers. Only 2 home runs since August 4th, and kind of flipping at the ball instead of looking to drive the ball, as we've seen him do so many times last year and then earlier this year. And you see that takes a little bit off that pitch right there, kind of sinks it down to the zone, swings right over the top of it, and a little bit out in front with a change in velocity.
Now here is Rick Ankiel. Ankiel hit one back to Zambrano his first time.
I think Ankiel is one of the key elements for the Cardinals if they're going to have a complete lineup for the postseason. I mean, he has really struggled since, you hurt himself running into the wall. But, I mean, his power production, everything has gone down. And he has not handled left-handed pitching well at all. So you want to keep your defense in there. So you would like for him to hit a little better, especially against left-handed pitching.
Colby Rasmus has been playing more often than Ankiel. That's a check swing. And the count goes to 2-1. I asked Tony about that before the game. Tony La Russa, the Cardinal manager, and he said simply, well, that he wants to keep everybody involved, so that's why Ankiel's in there tonight. But Rasmus has been doing a great job in his rookie season down the stretch, so he's been getting the bulk of the time out there now. Of course, Holliday has emerged as the everyday player since they acquired him, and the right fielder Ludwig is going to play most of the time as well. He also had a different take on Ludwig's lack of power here in the last several weeks. For Tony, he said, hey, and you have to, Tony's going to back up his players. He says, I could care less what the home run figures are, if he's hitting home runs or not. He's hitting the ball, he's knocking in runs. As long as he's knocking in runs, that's the job description for where he's hitting in the order. So he said he's satisfied with the RBI total.
Well, 89 total.
Pretty good total.
Yeah, because he may end up with 100. He can stay hot and keep the ball away from Fukudome.
100, that is the real good total.
That's the real total. And I think it's more important now, John, to say it was 3, 4, 5 years ago. You had a lot of guys doing it for whatever reason, driving in 100 runs. But now we're getting back to normal where 100 RBIs is a big deal.
Well, you say normal because you started out in the 60s.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's special again, though.
Yeah,
100 RBIs is special.
But there was
again.
a time, I mean, 3 or 4 years ago where everybody was driving in 100
Well,
runs.
it was
30 home runs.
How many RBIs did you have? 100? That's it?
That's it? Yeah, exactly. If you didn't have 120, you were just, an average player.
3-2 the count to Ankiel. Holiday at first. There goes Holiday. And that is ball 4. Second walk of the inning. Allowed by Zambrano. And now Soto goes out to confer with the big right-hander. 2 men on, 1 man out, and Yadier Molina coming up.
Well, this is one of the issues that they have with Carlos Zambrano. We talked over 70 walks coming into this game. He gets himself into trouble. He competes against himself a lot of times instead of the opposition. Trying to make a perfect pitch, trying to work off the corner, trying to nibble instead of being aggressive, starting at the center of the strike zone and letting the action on his pitches work to the corners.
Well, the good thing with him is when he does get runners on, he's only 1 pitch away from a double play because that sinker, he can get a lot of ground balls.
Yadier Molina grounded out to second his first time. And he got the high heat and could not make contact. 0-1. No score in the game. Last of the 4th. The second time tonight the Cardinals have put 2 men on. The other time was the first inning when Fukudome made the great catch. There is Holiday and Ankiel. Holiday at second, Ankiel at first. Middle infield pulled in a bit. Double play deck. And that is a fastball for a strike. It's 0-2. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Steve Phillips, your Sunday night telecasters. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. And those 2 longtime rivals, the Cubs and Cardinals, battling one last time here in 2009. Cubs looking ahead at a long off season. The Cardinals looking forward to some October baseball. And the ball is down and in. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Cardinals' big issue right now, number 1 on the docket, is clinching the division title. Their magic number to do it is 4. Any combination of 4 wins by the Cardinals and or 4 losses by the Cubs will wrap it up for them. Of course, they can get 2 of those off that number with a win here tonight, which would complete a sweep of the series. We got the great matchup. Zambrano, the Cubs ace, up against Adam Wainwright, who's been an ace for the Cardinals on a team that's got more than 1 ace. But Wainwright has been the biggest winner in the league. 18 wins. He's pitched 4 shutout innings. Chris Carpenter has 16 wins, although he started the year disabled. A bloop, and that's caught by Fontenot. An infield fly signaled by second base umpire Marty Foster. So Molina was immediately out anyway. 2 down.
Well, he got away with that high fastball there to Molina. He's lucky he didn't fight it off. Here's his best pitch. That's the straight fastball. That's the overpowered fastball. There's another one. There's a split inside. Another one inside. You can see him turn the ball over, then a straight fastball again. He really went after Molina differently than he did the other hitters. And I was surprised because you want the ground ball there. Try to get the ball down and get the sinker and get out of the inning.
Especially with Molina, 26 grounded at double plays this year.
The Molinas are all double play candidates, that's for sure. If they hit the ball on the ground, it's likely a double play in a spot like that. But he popped the ball up. Brendan Ryan, the hitter, yesterday's hero. Yesterday he hit a home run for the first Cardinal run, and then he ended the game with a game-ending hit in the last of the 9th inning, a 2-1 win. And then he got a hit by Zambrano on the first pitch he saw here tonight, back in the 2nd inning. 0-1 the count. 2 men on, 2 men out. And the high fastball is fouled into the crowd. Strike 2. And Soto is going to go out and chat with Zambrano again.
Well, everything's up. All of a sudden, he's getting away with it, but all the fastballs are up. I mean, the first 2 pitches, to Ryan are up. But I want to go back to your point. Were you suggesting something that Ryan got a hit yesterday and a home run and drove in 2 runs? Or were you suggesting that's the reason that he got hit?
Just merely presenting the facts.
Oh, okay.
Now, whether
draw your own conclusions.
Whether we see something that appears to be retaliation later or not, we've established the current facts without offering intent. Just these are the facts. That's a foul ball. 0-2 the count.
Well, he finally got the ball down anyway. And back in the second inning, you can see that ball tailing in on him. And Tony La Russa, I think, as we always talk about, Tony lives and dies with his players. I mean, that's what makes him a great manager.
And that was between innings. After that inning, and Tony had a few words for Zambrano as he headed off the mound. Then Zambrano hit that with his bare hand. And Blanco throws out Brendan Ryan. And we'll see if Zambrano's okay. But he deflected that one. Perhaps he saved a hit. No score. Here come the Cubs into the 5th inning. No score. Adam Wainwright doing that thing he does so well, especially this year, looking for his 19th win of the year. And there's the slide ball to Soto, a swinging strike one. Soto struck out looking his first time. He'll be followed by Fontenot and Blanco, the 6, 7, 8 spots in the Cubs batting order. Only one hit allowed by Wainwright so far. A fastball down and in, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Now Wainwright is a guy who's had success, and he had success early on when the Cardinals won the World Series. He had success. He was the closer. He had been an injury to Jason Isringhausen, the incumbent closer, and Wainwright stepped in and was fabulous in that role, and he helped him win it all. Here at third is DeRosa, and that's off to Soto, but he's also a very confident sort, and he told us yesterday about that confidence, how it's expressed.
One thing I learned a couple years ago is that if you go into a game and you've had a couple good starts in a row and you consider yourself, hot right now, then you're basically admitting that you're going to come down off of that, and at some point you're going to fail. And I think that the key for me is to not ever think I'm just hot, is that I'm actually just a real good pitcher. And, I'm able to go out there and perform and execute pitches because I'm good, not because I'm hot.
Pretty good confidence right there in a young man. I think he's figured it out, and hanging around with Chris Carpenter You know, he's learned a lot from Carpenter, watching him, listening to him. Dave Duncan, one of the best pitching coaches to be able to build the confidence of his young pitchers. And you take a look at where Lincecum is and Adam Wainwright, Cliff Lee over the last 2 seasons, their winning percentage. And obviously Adam Wainwright has figured it out. He knows his approach to attack a lineup.
He saw 2 straight changeups there to Fontenot. That's a swinging strike. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, when they were talking about him, you know, being a starter and then he had to relieve for a while, and since he's been a starter, he's just been getting better and better as he built arm strength to be able to go extra, you know, for late into the ball game.
They got him as that curveball is pulled foul off the first base side. 1 ball and 2 strikes, and I'm not sure that curveball is where he wanted it with a 2-strike count. A little too hittable, but they got him from the Atlanta Braves, and that might be a trade. John Sherholtz, and there are not many trades that Sherholtz, I think, looks back on and kind of cringes, but that might be one of them.
Right, J.D. Drew was in that deal going to the Atlanta Braves offensively. Drew obviously has moved on, and Wainwright has clearly found a home here as ace, one of the aces of the staff.
That is handled by Schumacher, but Fontenot beats it out easily. An infield hit for Fontenot. He's 2 for 2. He has the only hits for the Cubs.
You know, we talk about the curveball from Adam Wainwright. We talk about how his index finger ends up coming off the ball. Take a look at his grip on the curveball. Both fingers start on the ball. But as he then starts to continue through, and remember the curveball, you want to roll the ball off that middle finger. He elevates the index finger off and he spins it. You see the finger up off the ball. He spins it off over the top of that middle finger to get the rotation. You see the rotation of the curveball. That's why you get the break as it comes to the plate. Outstanding 12-6 break on that curveball.
Well, as a fan, I love to see the curveball perhaps more than any other pitch. I mean, it's impressive to see a fastball. That's the slam dunk. The guy that throws 98 miles an hour can just blow you away. The curveball, it's almost like a magic trick.
Well, it's also harder to control. That's why you don't see more people throw the curveball. They used to throw the curveball a lot years ago, and then they cut it in half with the slider because it was easier to control.
Well, that's also why you don't see that many magicians. It's hard. It's hard to do magic tricks.
Well, it's definitely harder to throw the curveball for a strike.
You know, and I think one of the reasons that Wainwright has success and Chris Carpenter have success is they get strike one. When you work ahead in the count, you can expand the strike zone. We've seen a lot of Wainwright's curveballs start at the knees, break out of the zone, and the Cubs hitters chase it because when you're defensive, when you have to try to protect the plate, you're willing to chase the ball out of the zone. And that strike one is critical. And you see the numbers right there, the difference in his success on that first pitch. Ball one, 292 batting average, strike one, 184.
But we also saw them going after the first pitch.
Bronco hit that one well. Deep right center. Off the base of the wall. Fontenot to third, being waved home. Here comes the relay. It's high. 1-0 Cubs, and over to third base goes Blanco. Zambrano was at the plate. The pitcher who was on deck coaching Fontenot for the play at the plate.
Well, he gets the pitch up a little bit, and it looked like it was just a fastball to me. From up here, yeah, fastball up, and he drills it in the right center field, and they're also playing him awfully shallow. You see, all of a sudden, Ludwig has to go all the way back, and they play it off the wall. I thought they had a chance of being able to hold the runner at third base, but they weren't able to throw, as you can see, offline.
Schumacher's throw high and wide. So a double by Blanco, an RBI. He takes third on the throw to the plate. Now the infield comes in for Zambrano with a chance to help himself out here. And that is a slider over the outside. The look from K-Zone brought to you by Ford.
The one thing you always have to be careful of in a close game like this, you give up one run, okay, but you put the other runner at third with less than 2 outs. You have to be, if you're going to throw to the plate, you have to make sure you have a chance to get that runner who was trying to score.
Blanco at third. He jammed him with the breaking ball. Wainwright couldn't handle it, but Zambrano thrown out by Schumacher, and all the while, Blanco holding at third.
Well, nice play by Schumacher. That ball's coming up the middle. You see the middle infielder start to pinch. You see Adam Wainwright try to recover, but you see how quickly Schumacher was moving to the middle anyways to make the play. Comes up and makes a strong throw, holding Blanco at third.
Now, on the a lot of times with one out, even when the infield's in, they'll put on the contact play. But an exception to the contact play is a ball hit right back to the pitcher.
Well, you're supposed to make sure the ball's hit at one of the infielders before you go.
So in case a Cubs fan sitting at home, well, he should have scored. He would have scored on that, but it also could have been a ball one hop right back to Wainwright.
Foul back at the pitcher, you hold your ground.
Now the infield backs up with 2 down. Here's Fukudome. Curve hangs up and away for ball 1.
This is why, you know, Wainwright is such a good pitcher. He has been able to limit the damage, you know, giving up 2 runs or less, 15 out of 16 in his last 16 starts.
This would be big if he could hold this to 1 run. They had the runner at third with 1 out. And Zambrano got a nasty breaking ball that he hit back to the pitcher.
Well, you mentioned that he's pitching him like he's a power hitter, and that's what he's doing to the other power hitters, throwing that little breaking ball down. Well, he wanted it down anyway, so if he hits it, he's going to hit it at one of the infielders.
A ball on a strike to Fukudome. And a slider. The inside slider, a cutter, had a little cut to the inside. 1-2.
Now that second pitch in this at bat, that curveball that Fukudome thought was down out of zone, really changes the at bat. It goes to a 1-1 count instead of a 2-0 count. And now Wainwright able to go to an assortment of different pitches. If it's 2-0, he then has to come back into the zone and make a good pitch.
Well, Fukudome doesn't handle the curveball away very well at all. He doesn't go the other way.
Curve in the dirt, blocked by Molina. Yadier is an excellent ball blocker.
Well, it was pretty humid down on the field today. You can see we were watching Zambrano cool off.
Been a pretty bad month, humidity or no, for Kosuke Fukudome. 136 average this month.
Well, that's been the problem with the Cubs, hitting with runners and scoring.
Or for Fukudome, hitting with runners, without runners, or whatever in September.
It's been a tough run. And you see that curveball again right there. Todd Titcher, the home plate umpire, looked like he flinched a little bit, thinking about calling that one a strike.
Well, I thought you guys said he was a high ball umpire. Well, that one's off the plate outside. Wasn't as close as it appeared.
3-2 to Fukudome with Blanco at third. Hit sharply and in shallow right field, Schumacher. And that's the inning. So they get just the 1. But they have the lead, and Zambrano will be facing Wainwright when we come back. Carlos Zambrano, when last to the mound, had a ball that tipped off his fingertips and turned into the final out as he throws ball 1 to Wainwright. Here's the play.
Well, the question is, if that ball have gone through had he not touched it. I thought that the shortstop was going to have a chance to get over there, but I'm not sure.
Well, it could well have been that he would have gotten it.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing about it is that it worked for Zambrano, because it means he's going to do it again. But, you know, pitching coaches say all the time, don't do that. Don't put your bare hand up there. See the ball go right back up the middle, and you're going to look at Blanco, the shortstop, his break on the ball, and that would have gone over the bag probably, but Blanco still might have had a beat on it. But I think for Zambrano, the fact that he was successful is the worst possible thing that could have happened right there, because someday he's going to get hurt doing that.
I remember as he throws the slider, so it doesn't look like he got hurt this time, as he seems to be just fine. His first batter, Wainwright, snaps off a great breaking ball to strike it out, his 4th strikeout. I remember Kevin Brown, who had a long career, and he did that a lot. It was just sort of instinctive for him. And one time in his year with Baltimore, he reached out for a line drive and broke his finger. And there's ball 1 to Skip Schumacher. 1 ball to no strike. Schumacher, the leadoff man, has flied out to left and grounded out to second. And he had a chance to cut down Fontenot at the plate in the first half of this inning with a relay throw. And Schumacher's throw a little bit too strong, a little bit offline, and also too high, enabling Fontenot to score the run. And we saw Schumacher in the dugout between innings, and he was fuming a little bit, and we were guessing likely about that throw. He was unhappy with himself, but Torna Russa just thrilled with the job he's done at second base. Look at this play by Blanco, but too late. Schumacher beats it out. His first hit of the night, only the 2nd hit for the Cardinals.
John, we were talking about Zambrano's changing of speeds on his fastball, which makes it a different pitch. We're going to show some ranges from 89 miles an hour to 96. This is an 89 mile an hour fastball, and you see it at one point, 92. So all of these are different pitches because of the speed changes. 91, then he gets up to 96. So all of them are much different pitches than just a regular fastball that you throw at the same speed all the time. And you get more movement, as you can see there, the less the velocity, the more movement he had. On the 96 mile an hour fastballs, they were pretty straight.
It was interesting to see how the hitters couldn't center the pitch because they were just, their timing was thrown off just by the slight change in movement and velocity.
So sometimes you don't have to have, 3 or 4 pitches. He has 3 or 4 actually by changing the speeds.
And that's just off his fastball.
Right.
He's got the splitter, the slider as well. But this is also, when you see that kind of stuff, when we see what he's done tonight, where he is such a key figure for them for next year, because he's a guy, he should be their Wainwright, their Carpenter, the guy who goes out and you figure he's going to win 17, 18 games or more.
Well, there's a lot of talk in Chicago that they should trade Carlos Zambrano. A lot of people have gotten fed up a little bit with his emotions, his acting out, his antics on the mound. The fact that he's not in shape, he's had cramping in his forearm in the past because he's having too much diuretics, too many teas and power drinks and that sort of thing. So a lot of people think they ought to trade him. He's got 3 years left on his contract. He has a no trade clause. But he's one of those guys that if you do trade him, the likelihood is you can expect he will pitch better for the team that he's going to in a fresh start, fresh environment. It'll be that slap in the face that he'll need to get himself back on track with his career. And from the Cubs' perspective, they might just give him that slap in the face themselves, force him to get himself in shape so they can get the production in Chicago.
Mark DeRosa, the hitter, the former Cub, and it's a foul. 2-1. Well, before he signed the contract, a 4-year period, he averaged 16 wins a year, 3rd in the majors, not just the National League, but all of Major League Baseball, 3.35. That's from 04 through 07, that 4-year period. And then, since the contract, he's made 55 starts the last couple of years, 56th in Major League Baseball, only 22 wins in those 2 years, 11 per season on average, where he'd been averaging 16 per year before that.
But John, if you look at the earned run average, and I mentioned earlier on the road this year, 3.03 earned run average, I mean, this guy is still capable of winning. He still has a winning record. Now, if you believe what he said, that I've been lazy and I'm going to work my abs, I'm going to do all this stuff, then, that's the question. If he's going to follow through, then I say you have to keep him. That would be my point.
Schumacher back to the bag.
The Cubs have $117.5 million tied up in 10 players moving forward into next season. So they've got a major chunk of their payroll. This year about $137, $138 million payroll. So they have some interesting decisions, because last year they had great success. There's Jim Henry, their general manager. They had 8 All-Stars last year. They have 1 this year, and they're all still on the team.
That's into the gap, left center field. Scales will have to play the carom. Schumacher to third, heading home. Blanco will not throw it. It's tied up. A double by DeRosa with Pujols coming up.
During batting practice, I was standing down there with Hal McRae, the hitting instructor, and he was working with DeRosa because he felt like his hands were dropping and he wasn't getting them back up in time. Now watch how he drops his hands. See that? And he got him up well enough for the ball in the middle of the plate. But he drops his hands, and he hasn't been getting them back up in time to handle a good fastball. He does so here, and he hammers it in the gap. And right away, Schumacher knows he's going to be able to score. And we're tied at 1. But a smart play by Blanco not to throw the ball home.
Now Albert with a runner in scoring position, first base open, but also Matt Holliday on deck. Albert has walked, and he is grounded out to short. Fastball. Called a ball, I guess.
Well, that's
a bit too high, maybe.
That's that high fastball that we saw Albert swing at in his first at bat, then take on a 3-0 count in his second at bat. That was called a strike, and he was not happy with it. They go back to that same spot, just a little bit higher. Soto tried to frame it.
That is a fair ball, and it will put the Cardinals ahead. DeRosa in to score. Albert heading for second. Scales will throw in toward third. It's 2-1 Cardinals. The 128th RBI of the year for Albert Pujols.
Well, Prince Fielder drove in a run today to get his 128th. So that would tie Albert with Prince Fielder for their National League lead at 128. This appeared like it was a splitter or something down and in. It was not a good fastball. Now watch the location. Yeah, it's a splitter down and in. And he just rips it down the third baseline. See, there's that use of the hands we were talking about as compared to, Jeter might have fought this ball off. He just uses his hands and he rips that ball down the line for a double and an RBI.
And Zambrano not pleased.
Well, I think Zambrano said to himself, I threw fastball away, and then I threw that ball off the plate inside or splitter. How did he hit it? Well, we talked to Albert before. He doesn't look for the ball inside. He just reacts to the ball inside. That's what good hitters do. They react with their hands. They don't have to try to open up with their body. They just use their hands to get the barrel of the bat out there, and that helps keep the ball fair as well.
Larry Rothschild, the Cubs pitching coach, has paid a visit to Zambrano, and now here is another Cardinal slugger, Matt Holliday. 2 runs in. Fastball in the inside corner for a called strike. Holliday has singled, and he has walked. Pujols at second. 2 runs in for the Cardinals. The big guys getting it done here. There's a slider. He chased it, and the count is 0-2. Now, sometimes you talk to a manager about, man, how do you go after guys like Pujols, Holliday, Ludwig? You got a bunch of guys like that in the middle of the order. It's the guys in front of him. You got to keep those guys off base, and then it gives you can start pitching around a guy like Pujols or Holliday. And it's not such a serious deal. Well, Schumacher and DeRosa were both able to get on base to start this rally, and that is a swinging strike 3 by Holliday.
And that's what he tried to do to Albert, run that ball back inside off the plate.
That Albert Pujols ended up on second base on his ball hit down the line, but that ball kicked off that wall over there and came back into play, and I think the Cubs gave up second base too early. As you see Albert Pujols hit the ball down the line. It gets by Ramirez. And watch as the ball kicks off the wall. Bobby Scales makes the play on it. The runner's going to score. But look, Mike Fontenot's starting to come over. Pujols is just getting to the bag. They could have held second base because that ball kicked the Scales. They could have Albert Pujols at first instead of at second base right now.
Well, they would have had him out because he wasn't stopping at first.
Right. Well, you're right.
They may have had him out.
They may have had a play there. Exactly.
Yeah, because I was watching him from the home plate. He was going to second base all the way.
Ludwig into center field. Fukudome. And that ends the inning. But the Cardinals, after falling behind in the first half of the inning, have now gone ahead. The big hitters coming up for the Cubs.
Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. Brought to you by Touchstone Pictures Surrogates. Coming to theaters everywhere September 25th. Rated PG-13.
Now Bobby Scales, the rookie, 11 years in the minor leagues, getting his first look at the big leagues this year. But also he's primarily been an infielder in his career, being asked to play the outfield because the Cubs are decimated with injuries to outfielders, and then suspending outfielder Milton Bradley before the game today for the rest of the year. Scales has struck out twice in this game. Derek Lee and Aramis Ramirez will follow. And that fastball just below the knees, apparently. 2-1 the count.
Well, Scales was from, as you see, Giovanni Soto talking to Rothschild about what Zambrano was doing out there.
They both look frustrated, too.
Well, I talked to Scales before the ballgame. He was in the Red Sox organization, and he gave him a high compliment. He said he treated him very, very well there. But he thinks that he's more a National League type player. That's what we're talking about. The Cubs need somebody that can run the bases, steal the bases, do something to add to their offense. And he's a guy that can play a lot of different positions, so he fits well. You know, if he can add a little offense, get on base, do a few things.
And as the switch hitting Scales bounces one foul, he's 31 years old, so he may have thought about giving up the dream many times as he made those stops at places like Idaho Falls, Fort Wayne, Mobile, Portland, and then the unkindest cut of all, back to Mobile, where he'd been already. Lake Elsinore he played in, Pawtucket, Iowa, up in Des Moines. 31 years old, finally in the big leagues, Bobby Scales. And the lack of experience in the outfield really has at times shown, perhaps never more so than yesterday, when he went all the way back to the wall on a deep fly ball hit by the Cardinals' Brendan Wright. And as Lou Piniella described it, he jumped and he didn't have to jump. And the ball hit off his glove as he hit the wall, and it bounced off the glove and over the wall. That was the only run the Cardinals had until the ninth inning. That was yesterday. But he's having to learn on the job.
Well, he's tracking the ball, going to the wall right there. He jumps, and as he hits the top of the wall with his glove, it kind of flips right over the top there. And I think he might have had to jump right there. Yeah, I don't know you catch that one on the run, and obviously he cares. He wants to make an impression, and understanding that playing time now could impact playing time next year.
Well, he definitely had to jump on that ball.
Well, Scales coaches a walk from Wainwright with the power. Lee Ramirez coming up. And let's go to Matt Weiner now in the studio with the Sports Center right now. Thanks, Matt. So a lot of intrigue yet in that American League Central, where a few days ago looked like there were no races at all in the American League any longer. But a big win for the Tigers today to get that lead back to 3. If they had lost, they'd be only 1 game ahead. 4 times those teams will play in Detroit a few days from now. That is no pitch. Timeout was granted to Derek Lee. The count to Derek, 0-1 in the American League Central in the hunt for October. Detroit by 3 over Minnesota. The White Sox all but out of it. And the Twins may have thought they were just about out of it just a few days ago. It's for the first, and diving safely back to Scales ahead of the tag by Albert Pujols.
John, when I talked to Derek Lee today, I asked him about, what's the difference now? I know you were injured and so forth. He said he made one slight change in his stance. He lowered his hands a little bit, and he said everything just fell into place from there. But he said he probably picked up the bad habit, when his hands were hurting before. But he said he lowered his hands, and all of a sudden he's swinging the bat much better.
The curveball hangs high and tight from Wainwright. That was it?
That's what
we just lowered him a little bit?
Oh, yeah. But you know what, John? People don't realize what a 1/4 of an inch or a 1/2 inch does to your angle of attack, so to speak.
Well, what I'm doing, I'm going to the rest of the lineup saying, lower your hands, guys, because if it's working for Derek Lee, give it a shot.
2-1 the count to Lee. He was off to a slow start, and I'm sure for Cubs fans it looked like more of the same. He had not been the same Lee since that injury that you're talking about, Joe. 3 years ago, I guess it was, in 2006. He'd been putting up some huge numbers. He was one of the premier sluggers in the National League. And that was going downhill, and including the start of this year.
Anytime you have injuries to your hands and you use your hands as much as he does, you're going to have problems. He's like Albert Pujols, same problem.
They look pretty high to me, Joe.
I was noticing that, too.
That curveball in there. Strike 3 called, and Lee begs to differ with Todd Titchener, the plate umpire.
Well, that one broke across the plate a little bit, or it came, from the outside towards him, toward the plate. And I think that's what, you can see that ball, that's inside. That ball is clearly inside. And that's a tough pitch to handle when it breaks that late and it's inside. It's kind of hard for Lee to hit it. You see, he stayed in there as long as his shoulders could keep him, but then he finally got out of there. So he stays and then he goes.
Gave up on it as it looked like it was breaking toward him, and he's saying, look, I followed that all the way in. I gave up on it because I thought it was inside.
Aramis Ramirez smokes one into center field, base hit. Scales to second. He'll hold on there. So Ramirez, first ball swinging, has his first hit of the game. Only the 4th of the night for the Cubs against Wainwright.
Well, he struck Ramirez out with a curveball last time. He wasn't going to let him get to a curveball now. You can see that pitch wasn't even a strike. He said, I'm swinging at it. And he said, as a fastball, I'm going to attack it.
I will say that the K-zone shot of that curveball, strike 3 to Derek Lee, it was inside, and K-zone verified that. Still close enough to almost be in that acceptable range.
The tough thing to do, though, John, is you stay there on a ball inside a breaking ball. And if it breaks late, as that one did, all good breaking balls will break late. And that one broke late. It's just there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, he would have jammed himself if he tried to swing at it because he was trying to keep that front shoulder in.
Burt Blyleven used to have one of the great curveballs in the game for many, many years. His curveball was the one that everybody's curve got measured against. Cal Ripken, the first few times he faced Blyleven, had no success whatsoever, and finally he came up with a plan. He said, if it looks like the curveball is going to go behind me, that one I take because it ends up inside.
Right.
If it looks like it's going to hit me, I swing because that's going to be over the inner half. And he ended up having a lot of success against Blyleven. That one is smoked right past Wainwright. Base hit center field. Here comes Scales, and he's going to tie the game. And Keel will throw into second. Stopping there, Ramirez. And Micah Hoffpower comes up with the RBI hit. It is 2-2.
Well, aggressive early in the count again right there. Bobby Scales, good jump off second base. Good secondary lead coming around to score. But Hoffpower going right back up the middle. Did you see they set up away? They throw the pitch away, but Hoffpower goes right back up the middle. Wainwright able to get out of the way of it. Scales able to read the ball, getting by Wainwright, and then reacting quickly to be able to get through. Not hit hard enough for Ankiel to be able to get to quickly to make the play at the plate.
Actually, Wainwright made an attempt to catch that ball. He almost got his glove up in time. Yeah. He didn't use his hand, as Zambrano did.
Here is Giovanni Soto. The slider blowing outside for ball one, and now Yadier Molina is going to go out and confer with his big right-hander. Wainwright, who we had his comments about his sense of confidence and how he never wants to look at when he's hot as being hot. That is, if you do that, he said, you're sort of setting yourself up that at some point you won't be hot and you're going to start to fail. But he also said that Chris Carpenter was almost kind of a mentor to him. Being a teammate of Carpenter has been a great key for him. And we've learned so much from Carpenter. Practical aspects, curveball grip, Carpenter's got a great one. Things like that, but also the mental aspect of the game, which perhaps, let's face it, Wainwright's always had the stuff. He's got the ability, but the mental aspects of the game he felt that he had learned from Carpenter have been huge. 1 ball and no strikes to Soto, and that little cutter just off the outside. It's 2-0.
I think one of the things that the Cardinals do better than anybody else, they're one of the best practice teams, and they're prepared. Dave Duncan puts together a game plan, breaking down the opposing hitters so that when his pitcher takes them out, they know exactly what they're going to do to attack the hitter each time through the lineup.
Got that little cutter up a little bit, and Soto took a big rip and fouled it straight back.
One thing I want to say, though, about mental toughness, I don't think you can teach a guy to have mental toughness. He either has it or he doesn't. What you can do is teach him how to use it properly. If you're not tough, you can't say, okay, I'm going to make you a great pitcher, make you mentally tough. You have to have it in you, but you have to know how to channel it. And I think that's what Carpenter helped him with.
He's staying with that hard slider or cutter. And it is now 2-2 to Soto.
So let me ask you, what is mental toughness to you?
Well, strength. You know what? In baseball, you're going to fail a lot, especially as a hitter. I mean, you're going to fail 7 times out of 10, even if you're a 300 hitter. So you have to stay mentally tough to say, okay, even if you make 5 outs in a row, you have to say to yourself, guess what? I'm going to hit this at bat. Every time he makes a pitch that they hit, he has to say, I'm going to make a better pitch next time. That's what mentally tough means to me.
2-2. And this is a double play ball. Schumacher to second. Ryan double clutches, and the ball gets away from Albert. Now heading home from third, Ramirez, and he will score the go-ahead run. The Cubs lead 3-2. The double play that would have ended the inning ended up turning into 1 out and an error that put the Cubs ahead.
And this is bad, because the reason I say it is because these guys work so hard on the double play. They call it man stew. They come out 20 minutes before batting practice and they make double plays, because remember, Schumacher was not a second baseman. The problem is the feed. See what he did? He gave him a low feed, so now Ryan had to avoid the runner and then try to throw. If he would have given him a better feed, he would have been able to make this. If he gives it to him high, he can just slide to the outside and then throw it.
Curveball, a strike to Fontenot, who's had 2 hits.
But one of the thing that bothers me is because these guys work so hard at it, and they go out before the game and do it, and they made 4 double plays yesterday, and they credited the fact that they worked so hard, before the games. I didn't understand why they call it man stew, but that's what they call it. They call it man stew, going out before the game. See how he underhand that ball? What he should have done, remember we showed how Cano will backhand that ball quickly to the second shortstop. That's the quickest way to get it there, is that backhand. And then he gets the runner out and get the ball to him quick enough so he can stay out of the way of the runner.
And also a word, Micah Hoffbauer went in with that hard takeout slide and interrupted his rhythm. 3-2 Cubs.
Star. That ball is going to its feet. A home run. Number 61. Number 756. Runners on its way. Number 4 in a row. We just want to take this moment to salute you, the greatest fans in the world.
It was just about this time last year that we were at the final game at the old Yankee Stadium as first ball swinging, Rick Ankiel singles to center against Zambrano. The Cardinals, for the second inning in a row, come to back trailing in this game, 3-2. The Cubs are leading. So Ankiel is now 1 for 2 with a walk. He's aboard, and Yadier Molina will come up. 20 years of baseball on ESPN, 20 years of Sunday night baseball and baseball coverage. And next week we have Sunday afternoon baseball.
Have we ever done that before? Oh yeah, and we've done it on a final day of the season.
Yeah. But it wasn't Sunday night baseball. This will be Sunday night baseball, Sunday afternoon.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yom Kippur about to begin, so a lot of fans in New York who would like to go to that game would not have been able to do so with the religious observance at sundown. So we'll be on at 1 o'clock Eastern from the new Yankee Stadium. And the game will also be re-aired, as we say. Not a rerun. Re-aired at 8:30 p.m. next Sunday night. And we hope you'll be able to tune in at one of those times. Either 1 o'clock for the live coverage of the Yankees-Red Sox. Perhaps a tune-up for postseason. They may face each other in the League Championship Series again. Yadier Molina, the hitter, with a 1-ball, 1-strike count. That's 1 o'clock next Sunday. 20 years. The first time that Sunday night baseball will be in the afternoon.
I wonder if they'll have the sun field there at Yankee Stadium.
Well, that's one thing. Neither one of us, we haven't seen a day
I think
game
they do.
there
I've
yet.
seen one on television. I think that there is a sun field there at left field.
That's where the Babe played right field in the original house that Ruth built, because he thought it was bad for his eyes to be in the sun field. So he made Bob Musial play left field. Now, when they play at Fenway, right field was the sun field. The Babe would play left field. Bob,
what a prima donna.
Right field, that's where you go.
Look, if you're Babe Ruth, you decide where you want to play. I don't blame him. Yeah, you're the babe, man.
Here, babe.
Yeah.
You play left field. Hey, take some hot dogs with you.
Joe wanted to sit in the middle. We let Joe sit in the middle, right?
No.
So,
but if you're the babe, you play where you want to.
Yeah,
play.
that's true.
Yeah.
He wouldn't go to the movies either.
Yeah.
Because he thought maybe the movies were bad for his eyes. Sunfield was bad for his eyes, he thought. And who's to dispute him? What a career he had. That's a double play ball. Blanco, Fontenot lead 6-4-3. 2 down and nobody on. Zambrano gets the double play grounder.
27th double play from Yadier Molina. Guy that has hit into a lot of those. We talked about it. Zambrano getting the sinker ball there. And take a look at that double play the last half inning. Joe, the question I have for you, though, is that the ball got to Schumacher, and he flipped it to Brendan Ryan. But in my mind, it was a mental error for Brendan Ryan. Why make that throw? You're jumping up in the air, and you know you've got a runner on second base. You make a bad throw, it leads to a run right here. Schumacher gets handcuffed a little bit. The bad feed, he can't get it out of his glove. Should he eat that right there rather than make that throw off balance?
Definitely. I mean, you do not want to make a bad throw with a runner in second. But it's more of a reaction. You're trying to complete the double play. But the only thing I would say is what will happen is Schumacher learns to play second base more. You know, this is his first year there. He'd never played a game there before this year. You have to get the ball to the shortstop quicker in those situations. And I think a backhand, as we showed with Cano and those guys doing that, gets the ball there quicker. And he would have been able to complete the double play. What happens is he could not come outside the bag. He couldn't take the ball. See how long it takes him to get the ball. He could not slide farther to the outside, so he had to stay there and get the ball. If he gets the ball to him quicker, he can slide more to the right field side quicker and get rid of the ball. So it's something that they work on it, a lot. So it's just something that, he's got to learn to do. I mean, you can get the ball to second base quicker by, just backhanding it there.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going around to all the different games that we cover. The Cardinals practice more and harder than any other team around. We talk about their infielders doing it, their pitchers are out in the outfield working on repeating their deliveries. You see Trevor Miller up in the bullpen for the Cardinals. They try to do flat ground work, throwing out in the outfield.
That's why it bothered me, because you should be rewarded for that hard work. And these guys have, as we said, they had 4 double plays yesterday, and they lead the league with 158. Well, they had 158 before today. So, I mean, I just, he's worked too hard for that to happen. They have worked too hard.
Tony was extolling the virtues of Ryan and Schumacher, how Schumacher had moved in from the outfield to become the second baseman, and how great he's been at it. And the master plan was Khalil Green was going to be the shortstop this year, and Ryan was going to be sort of a, as he called him, a super utility man who'd play all over the infield. And instead, part of the reason that their pitching has done so well.
Well, your middle infielders are always going to be the key to your defense. I mean, we can say whatever we want, but if your middle infielders do not play well, your team is not going to play well. Because like you said, it's going to put too much pressure on the pitchers. It's not going to help them out.
Graybo, the left-hander, up in the Cubs bullpen. And that slider is a ball, and it is 1-2 to Brendan Ryan. So, now the backhand flip, you talk about that backhand flip, we see a lot. Cano does it.
Yeah, Cano does it.
The first guy I ever remember seeing doing it, and this is going back a ways now, but the first guy I remember seeing doing it was you.
I'm going to say, you better not go
Who taught you?
Too far back toward me. Well, I actually started it because Davey and I did that man stew. we worked out every day. And we were trying to figure ways to get the ball to each other quicker. And I told him where I wanted the ball off my left shoulder.
You invented it?
Yeah, well, I started doing it first because what happens, you don't have to take a step. See, he had to take a step to give him the ball underhand. If you just grab it without taking a step and backhand it, it gets there quicker.
So we see Cano do it. We see a lot of guys do it. But, but that was it's really the Joe Morgan flip.
Well, I mean, that's what they called it at the time. But
I think we
actually
should
we started that.
No,
but we started that, Davey and I working together. So, and just by working out every single day, how do you get the ball to me quicker?
If this was today, you would have not only named it the Morgan flip yourself, you would have probably patented it, trademarked it. You would have marketed T-shirts.
If I had any sense, I would have. You're right.
Yeah, but it might not be too late. It might not have been marketed or trademarked yet.
Well, the truth of the matter is we're working at it, and Davey wanted to get somebody that night, and he wanted me to get the ball to him quick. Oh, he did. When somebody had hit him hard.
Zambrano strikes out Brendan Ryan, who lost the bat in futility trying to chase that breaking ball. 6 strong from Zambrano. Cubs lead 3-2 as we head to the late innings. One of the year, and we asked Adam Wainwright about Chris Carpenter and his influence on Wainwright as a pitcher.
Carpenter's probably of any pitcher that I've played with in pro baseball, he's definitely helped me more than anybody, without question. Carp is a guy I sort of patterned myself after when I was still in AAA, and he took the time to really teach me some things, and he took the time to share with me the mental aspect of pitching, which, is anybody will tell you in pro baseball is probably almost more important than the physical side of it. So the mental aspect of the game that he taught me is I wouldn't be where I am today without.
But you think also that mental aspect that he credits Carpenter for, that was something that was ingrained in him anyway, that perhaps Carpenter helped him polish.
Channel it right to the right focus. He was able to focus on that. But you have to have it. I mean, I've been around a lot of guys, and it's the same with hitters. You have hitters, if they're going well, it's the greatest thing in the world. When they're in a slump, they think they can't hit.
Well, Zambrano, the hitter now, and he has thrown 102 pitches in 6 innings. You saw Piniella had his bullpen working because Zambrano has not been durable. He's averaged fewer than 6 innings per start in his most recent start. He was rolling along with a shutout into the 5th inning, and all of a sudden he got shelled. Gave up 5 in the 5th to the slugging Brewers. So Piniella, as evidenced by the fact that Graybo was up in the 6th inning, and Graybo's up again right now. He is expecting the worst, I guess, in terms of Zambrano and that lack of durability this year. 1-2 the count.
Well, it was a couple starts ago that Lou Piniella went out in the 6th inning to take Zambrano out of the game as he went out to warm up for the 7th inning, and Zambrano wasn't happy about it. Kind of shook his head, and Lou Piniella and Zambrano had some words in the dugout.
Well, when you talk about the mental aspects of the game, that fastball is just off the inside. 2-2 the count. And Zambrano sometimes lets his emotions get the best of him, and we've all seen it. The curveball struck him out. Zambrano 0 for 3, and that is the 9th strikeout of the game for Wainwright.
Let's make sure these things out. Mental toughness is one thing, and that emotion is another.
Emotional control is a little different.
That's a little different, and that's what we're talking about here. See, if you have someone like Zambrano, all right, somebody needs to help him channel that emotion into his mental toughness, as part of his mental toughness when he's on the mound. Just my emotions. Yeah, I'm going to go get him, but I'm going to go get him without overthrowing.
So those emotions getting the best of him sometimes, you don't see that necessarily as being a lack of toughness.
No, I don't see it as a lack of toughness, but I don't, emotions are, they can help you one way and another time they may tear you down.
Learning to channel it more appropriately.
Right.
Yeah, part of what makes Carlos Zambrano special is that passion, that emotion, that energy, that fire that he pitches with. But when things don't go right, it tends to get him in trouble. He tries a little bit too hard, and then the emotions, he really can't corral them sometimes.
2 down, Fukudome the hitter. He's 0 for 2 with a walk, and now he's 0 for 3. And that's 10 strikeouts in 7 innings for Wainwright, who will likely be lifted for a pinch hitter. He's due to lead off in the last half of this inning, and he and the Cardinals are trailing. Taco Bell. And with Carlos Zambrano on the hill, Joe Thurston has just been introduced as a pinch hitter for Adam Wainwright. And now, once Thurston, a left-handed batter, was entered into the game, Lou Piniella to the mound, and he is bringing in that left-hander, John Graybo. So Zambrano is finished after 6 innings, 102 pitches, and leaving with a lead, 3-2. It's to the bullpen now. has removed his pitcher. Carlos Zambrano, he let Zambrano hit, which I guess Zambrano's a very good hitter, so he figured why not. But then just brought him out there so that he could make Tony La Russa burn a pinch hitter without using him. Tony set up the left-hander Thurston, and once Thurston was announced, that was all for Zambrano, and into the game comes Graybo, and he is facing Khalil Green, the hitter for the hitter.
I know this is a little bit off the wall.
No, that's just a ground ball to third. And handled by Aramis Ramirez, Khalil Green is out number 1.
But my thinking is, since Wainwright was leading off the inning, we're in the 7th inning, I would have left Wainwright in the ball game. You know, he's trying to win 20 ball games. And it's not a real pennant race here. You know, I mean, but that's the way Tony manages. But I'm just saying, from my perspective, you know, I would have liked to have seen him give Wainwright a chance to maybe win this ball game.
Wainwright probably only 2 more starts in the regular season. You know, unless they get a couple of runs here and put him ahead, he would have to win both of those starts to win 20.
Yeah.
Schumacher, the leadoff man, singled in the 5th and started a 2-run rally, but this one off the fists and bobbled by Blanco. Couldn't handle it. And Schumacher is safe.
That was a much more difficult play than we thought, because he jammed him, and it had some spin on it. And he tried to get in and catch it on the short hop, but this ball gets a lot of spin on it. See, it's like a cue. See how that ball is jumping at him? It hits the spin when it hits the turf. Now watch it hit the, once it hits the ground, look at it, jumps towards him. You see how he pulls his hands in, and that's what he was trying to get to it before that, but that ball really was jammed. It was like hitting off the end of the bat, but it jammed him.
So it's one bounce on the grass, and,
right.
and then a different bounce
off the dirt.
On the dirt.
Well, now a 2-run home run, and Wainwright can end up winning this ball game.
Yeah.
Cubs bullpen goes to work again. You've got Albert Pujols out on deck with Mark DeRosa at the plate. And he chases that slider from Graybo. Graybo, the former Pirate. Several trades made by the Pirates.
Several made by the Pirates. You're right.
Hawksworth gets up in the Cardinal bullpen, but the Cubs have bullpen activity as well. So this is likely the last of Graybo here. That ball is hit deep to left. Scales leaps, and he's got it.
Nice play, especially for an infielder.
Yeah.
A little different from the one he made yesterday, where he went off his glove and went over the whole wall.
Well, you got to give him credit. I mean, you know, you're going out there, you're not comfortable. You have a couple plays the last 2 days where you've kind of been involved in game-deciding plays, and goes back on that ball well, leaps in the air, and able to make the play. Now you can breathe, young man. Take a deep breath.
That might have been a game-deciding play too, as you mentioned.
Well, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot different if that ball goes over his head and Albert's coming up.
Well, it looks like he's going to stay with Graybo. He's got the right-hander up in the bullpen. The right-hander, Kevin Gregg. But now they're stalling for time, it looks like, as Soto goes out to the mound. That had been under instructions from Lou Piniella.
Lou's looking at the manager's manual to say, what do you do with Pujols in this situation?
Yeah. They used to talk about he's going with the book and he's walking the left hand to get the right, so on and so forth. Lou actually has a book.
He's got the book out.
Yeah, there's a manager standing there shrugging his shoulders, and I don't know what you're supposed to do.
Wait a minute. This is a right-hander against a left-hander. What does the book say? The book says, go get him. Well, he read the book.
Yeah.
And Albert, by the way, 3 for 8 with a home run against Graybo in the pen. The thing is about Albert, literally, his batting average, his home runs per bat, almost identical whether it's a left-handed pitcher or a right-handed pitcher.
That's why, you know, those critics who say that the Cardinals are going to have trouble with left-handed pitching in the postseason, I don't believe so, because you got Albert hitting over 331 against left-handed pitching. You have some of the other guys like Matt Holliday who are also hitting well.
So Gregg, who was the closer for much of this year, Lou Piniella says, hey, wait a minute, Pujols is up. It needs saving right now. The excitement begins October the 7th with the division series. It won't be long now. Now, Joe, and Steve, I'm always looking for a good book. You know, we're on the road a lot. We're in hotels. We're on planes, stuck at airports. And I'm thinking, if Lou thinks that's a good book, I'd like to know the title.
Well, when we get a moment, I'm going to give you a good book. Since you brought us one last week, I'm going to show you one by the great Bob Gibson, since we're in St. Louis.
See, the book said, Carlos, so he probably explained it to him, what the book said as to why it was best for Carlos and the team to be taken out.
Well, he got a smile out of Carlos.
I was wondering, maybe that was the new Dan Brown book. The Da Vinci Code guy got a new one that's just come out. Daniel Silva was one of Tony La Russa's favorite authors, but I don't know about Lou. So this is Pujols against Kevin Gregg. 1 ball and no strikes. Now, Pujols 1 hit in 4 at-bats lifetime against Gregg, so he haven't seen him very much. Albert knocked a double past third that drove in a run in the 5th inning. And the curveball in there for a strike at the knees.
Nice pitch right on the outside part of the plate, too.
Albert, 327 against right-handed hitters, 331 for left-handers. And his home runs per at-bat almost identical against lefties and righties this year.
So he's really saying in the postseason, bring on the lefties.
Yeah, right.
If you think we can't hit them.
Fastball down to the way. I asked La Russa about that because they are hitting only 232 as a team. And Tony was very emphatic. He said, listen, look at Albert's numbers, look at Holliday's numbers, and Ludwig and DeRosa, and then tell me that left-handed pitchers are going to nail us in the postseason. He said, it's not going to happen.
No.
Big one-hopper to Aramis Ramirez. And Gregg gets it done, just as Lou Piniella had hoped, just as the book had informed him. Now Scales, Derek Lee, Ramirez. The Cubs power coming up in the 8th.
Taco Bell, think outside the bun. And in part by Carfax. And One-A-Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB, specially formulated for men.
Sunday night baseball from Busch Stadium in St. Louis, the Cubs and the Cardinals. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Steve Phillips, our 20th season of baseball coverage at ESPN and Sunday night baseball next Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock. the Yankees and Red Sox from the new Yankee Stadium. Here's Blake Hawksworth, Canadian-born right-hander. Fouled out of play. Hawksworth, who made his major league debut back in June, 26 years old, born in North Vancouver, British Columbia, although he lives in Washington State now, Sammamish, and he's facing Bobby Scales, and the count goes to a ball and a strike. After Scales, it'll be Lee and Ramirez, and Scales got them started in the 6th against Wainwright with a walk. That started a 2-run rally. The run that actually put them ahead in this game, scoring on a throwing error as the Cardinals were trying to turn an inning-ending double play, and for a variety of reasons it did not happen. And Brendan Ryan's throw to first got away from Albert Pujols, a wide throw, and that enabled Aramis Ramirez to come around and score what right now is the run that has the Cubs ahead. And Adam Wainwright, 7 innings, 3 runs, 2 earned, 5 hits allowed, 10 strikeouts. It's the second highest strikeout total for Wainwright in his career. The only one in which he had more was a game, I thought, where the Cardinals turned their season around this year. July the 1st, a game seen on ESPN. He struck out 12 Giants up against Matt Cain, who's having a great year for the Giants, especially at that time. Cardinals eventually won the game in extra innings. The only other time he reached double figures in strikeouts, that and tonight. But tonight he leaves behind.
And that now makes 16 of the last 17 outings that Adam Wainwright's given up 2 or fewer runs, and now 27 of his last 28 outings he's gone 6 or more innings. You see the team inside the team, earned runs. Right, team inside the team right there. The other starting pitchers congratulating him on a quality outing.
This is Pujols to Hawksworth, and Scales kept off the bases this time with Lee and Ramirez coming up. Trevor Miller, a left-hander, up in the Cardinals bullpen. After Lee and Ramirez, the left-handed hitting Micah Hoffpower would be due up, just in case. Miller will be ready. But now Hawksworth has to contend with 2 sluggers here. And Derek Lee has gotten it back. The mojo is back for Derek Lee. The changeup is low from Hawksworth.
Now, I saw Hawksworth pitch a couple of times on television, and man, he looks like he's got great stuff, knows what he's doing out there, changes speeds well, but his fastball has a little extra hop on it right at the end. It seemed like it was a late moving fastball. Like that. Didn't move back over the plate enough.
One of the things the Cardinals have done this year is they've kept the bullpen fresh. Their starting pitchers have logged the most innings pitched, but they also have gone with 12 and at times 13 pitchers at the major league level. Tony La Russa is saying, look, I want my key guys to pitch only in games where we're ahead in the game. So he's given opportunities, guys like Blakesworth to be able to, Hawksworth, to get an opportunity to pitch and show what they could do and grow into other opportunities. So Tony, one of the best at managing a bullpen.
I asked Tony before the game as Derek Lee draws a walk, and that brings up the cleanup hitter, the slugger, Aramis Ramirez. I asked him, his ball club, his bullpen has been so sharp this year. They've only lost 5 games when they were ahead after 6 innings. The Phillies have lost 10 games that they were leading into the 9th inning, just by comparison. That the other extreme. But Ryan Franklin has been superb, but he has pitched in each of the first 2 games of this series. And Tony wasn't sure if he had the lead in the 9th who the closer was going to be. He said he'd ideally like to not use Franklin, even though Franklin, he figured, was probably going to say that he was okay to go. But the question would be whether he and Dave Duncan thought that at this stage of the season it would be wise for them to use their closer 3 straight days. And Tony was kind of doubting that it would be.
Well, Franklin has been struggling a little bit lately. He had 13 consecutive saves, and then he's blown 3 out of 4. He got in the win.
He blew the save yesterday.
He's got a 10.13 earned run average in the month of September, so it has been a little bit of a dry spell. But Tony was talking about, he said, listen, I have great confidence in him. He said all great closers are going to blow saves at times. What he was impressed with, though, is when he gave up the 1 run, he kept it at 1 and gave his team a chance to come back and win in the bottom of the inning.
Got the low strike there, the sinker to Ramirez.
Hawksworth finally says, I get a low pitch.
Yeah.
Because he thought he had a couple of strikes to Derek Lee as well.
The Ford K-Zone.
Well, it says that one missed low.
Well, last week we had Todd Titcher call that high pitch often.
Right to third. DeRosa back to first, not in time. Lee reacted quickly, back to the bag. It could not double him up. And Ramirez is lined out for the second out of the inning. And here comes Tony La Russa with the left-handed hitting Hoffpower coming up. Tony's got that lefty. Trevor Miller ready to go in the bullpen, and he has made the call. Runner at first, 2 down in the 8th. The Cubs are leading 3-2. And the new pitcher coming in. We'll be right back. Baseball voting for the center fielder of our 20th year All-Star team. The 3 nominees for center field: Ken Griffey Jr., Ichiro, and Bernie Williams. And according to the voting at ESPN.com, Ken Griffey Jr. is the center fielder on our 20-year All-Star team with 73% of the vote.
What has been the highest? I know we had a 71. Is that the highest?
I haven't been keeping real close tabs, but I wish Charles Gibson was here. He's always the guy I like to listen to for when there's a voting thing going on. He would know. But here's Trevor Miller. Anyway, congratulations, Ken Griffey Jr. Not a bad pick. Right. He hit a home run today and against Jabba Chamberlain.
Drove in 4 runs.
Yeah.
Trevor Miller, 64 games, 40 2/3 innings. So that situational left-hander often brought in by Tony La Russa to get that big out on a left-handed bat.
And he was doing the same job for Joe Maddon last year, helping the Tampa Bay Rays get to the World Series. So here is a former Cardinal, and he's getting a nice ovation from these Cardinal fans who remember him as a Cardinal. So Taguchi-san, batting for Micah Hoffpower. Derek Lee at first, and Miller moves him back to the bag. That's the funny thing about situational left-handers. A lot of times he comes in to face a left-handed hitter and ends up having to face a right-handed hitter.
Especially in September with the expanded rosters and all the different options coming off the bench.
Right up the middle and just in front of the diving Ankiel.
Nice play by Ankiel to keep that ball from getting through and rolling to the wall.
Cardinals have a right-hander up in their pen now as well. As a right-handed hitter, Giovanni Soto is coming up. There he is, Jason Mott, number 60. And out to the mound goes Yadier Molina. Looks like they're stalling for time now, as Dave Duncan, the pitching coach, on the phone to the bullpen. Now you've got another lefty after Soto, but I guess if you're La Russa, are you figuring here we cannot allow another run? Whatever we have to do, we have to keep that from happening.
Looks like he's going to keep him in there, though.
Soto is 0 for 3, and he is going to bat here against Trevor Miller. Soto hitting only .212 against left-handed pitching this year. That's been part of the bad year. Now here comes La Russa.
Well, he should have thrown the pitch. He was about to throw it and he stepped off.
The wheels continue to turn. The chess match. Piniella may be looking through his book as we speak. Cardinals, their magic number at the moment is 4. The Cubs, who have lost the first 2 games of this series and are trying to avoid the Cardinals getting that much closer to actually clinching it in their last chance against the Cardinals head-to-head this year. Well, La Russa and Piniella moves, counter moves, and I think they really relish the opportunity when they manage against each other in these 2 rival dugouts, because they grew up down in the Tampa, Florida area. They knew each other as kids, played youth baseball against each other, with each other, and they've had very distinguished careers as managers. But in this spot, La Russa goes to the right-hander. Piniella stays with his right-handed hitting catcher, Soto. And had a pretty good cut at that fastball from Jason Mott. La Russa, 1944, went to Jefferson High School in Tampa. Piniella, born a year earlier, went to Tampa Jesuit High School. They played Pony League and Legion baseball together. Tony La Russa, Lou Piniella. Piniella was a much better big league player than was Tony, who only really had just a brief glimpse of life in the big leagues as a player. And a pop-up foul. And he's making Soto's bat look a little rusty there.
I asked Lou Piniella about Giovanni Soto and his struggles this year, and he said, I don't want to blame the World Baseball Classic, but he said he was the 3rd catcher for Team Puerto Rico in the Classic. He didn't get a lot of playing time. Then when he did come back in, the season started, he strained his oblique. He lost a lot of playing time with that as well, and he just never really had a spring training to get his season going. A guy who put up such big numbers as the National League Rookie of the Year last year.
Lowest batting average by a reigning Rookie of the Year since Vince Coleman of the Cardinals in '86. And Cardinal fans will well remember '86 because they had won it all in '85. Vince Coleman, he changed every team in baseball was trying to figure out a way to slow down Vince Coleman. And the whole Cardinal team, not just Vince Coleman, the whole team went into a slump in 1986. But they had a lot of fast guys, but none of them were getting on base in '86. And Mott strikes out Soto. Is still just a 1-run Cubs lead. 2 men stranded. Matt Holliday, Ryan Ludwig, Rick Ankiel, 3 guys with power coming up for the Cardinals. Continues with an ESPN Wednesday night doubleheader. First at 7 Eastern, the Phillies and the Marlins. The Phillies could be about to close it out by then. Then at 10 Eastern, the Giants and the Diamondbacks. The Giants in that wild card division in the National League, and they'll need to win big time now. 4.5 back of the Rockies. Wednesday Night Baseball presented by Smirnoff Ice on ESPN. Matt Holliday, who ended the game here Friday with an opposite field home run, a walk-off in the last of the ninth inning. 2-0 the count to him from Kevin Gregg. Gregg got Pujols on a ground ball to third to end the 7th inning. Now back for the 8th inning here. A reworked outfield for the Cubs. Meanwhile, that slider, a check swing. And the count goes to 3-0. So Taguchi stays in the game to play left field after hitting for Hoffbauer. Sam Fuld goes in to play center field. And moving from center field to right field is Fukudome. So Scales is out of the game now. Ooh, had the go-ahead on 3-0. And he went ahead, but just fouled it straight back.
Took a good hack at that fastball up in the zone, and you foul it straight back like that, you know you're right on it. Just missed it.
Dennis Reyes up in the Cardinal bullpen, a left-hander. 3-1. That is inside. A leadoff walk for Holliday, who is now 1 for 2 with 2 walks. He's been on base 3 times. Pinellas' bullpen is quiet for the time. And here is Ryan Ludwig. Early in the season, we had the Cubs at the end of the first week of the season with a game in Milwaukee. And there was a lot of talk at that time in Chicago. People thought, well, man, Marmole's got better stuff than Kevin Gregg. Why isn't Marmole the closer? Gregg had some knee surgery in the offseason. And the curveball in there for a strike to Ludwig. And Pinella discovered that when he brought him in the 8th inning of a game, and then he went and sat in the dugout while they batted in the 9th, that knee kind of stiffened up and got a little swollen up, and he wasn't really able to come back effectively for the 9th inning. So that ball just squirts through the legs of Soto and will be an extra base for Matt Holliday. So the tying, or the possible tying run anyway, is now in scoring position with nobody out.
Well, Soto didn't get down all the way to block it. It kind of went through the wickets there a little bit and gets through, and runner advances now in scoring position. You got to block that and get down and keep the glove down as well. It just squeezes underneath the glove. He kind of elevates before he goes down, and by just kind of bouncing up to go down, left room for the ball to squeeze underneath.
Now Ludwig pulls that ball. Now Ludwig is the guy who's been driving in runs. He's been a big run producer for the Cardinals the last couple of years, but does that mean that he's not expected to hit the ball to the right side here?
Well, I think the Cardinals are a team that plays the game the way it's supposed to be played. I think since he got a strike on him, he said, I'm just going to go ahead and drive him in.
He's going to be the chauffeur.
Yeah.
2-2. Well, Ludwig was robbed of likely a 2-run double or maybe more. 2 runs would have scored in the first inning. And a great catch by Fukudome. He has 89 RBIs for the year. 3-2. The Cubs are leading. And that breaking ball fouled. Tough pitch there from Kevin Gregg.
Just staying alive, got a piece of that. Ball kind of tailing down and in. And we saw him swing over the top of a pitch like that against Zambrano earlier in the game, but able to get a piece of that off Gregg.
But I'm guessing Gregg is no longer having that problem with the knee that he was having earlier in the year, sitting for an inning. That is a foul off the right field line, back into the crowd.
You'd be surprised how things work when you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. You've got to go do what you have to do.
Because Marmol is now the closer, and Gregg the setup man. And this is, I guess this was the way it was when he was the closer. You brought him in for the 9th. He was your last card. There's nobody throwing in the bullpen. 2-2. Oh man, he struck him out.
Nasty.
Like a split finger pitch that got Ludwig a big one.
Take a look at Kevin Gregg and how he approached Ryan Ludwig. The breaking ball to get ahead on the count for strike one. Then he tries to bounce one in the dirt. It got through. Then he comes inside the fastball off the plate. Try to get him up the ladder to get him to chase. Went back to the breaking ball again, but everything on the inner part of the plate right there to get Ludwig.
Now Rick Ankiel. He's hit one back to the pitcher, walked and singled. Chases the high fastball. It's 0-1.
Take a look at the final two pitches of that bat to Ludwig. He finally went away on him right there, fought that one off, but buried that breaking ball down in the zone, got him to swing over the top.
0-1 the count. Pulled foul. 0-2 to Ankiel. We saw Fukudome make a great catch crashing into the wall in the first inning of this game. Ankiel had a close encounter with a wall that it was a miracle really that he was not more seriously hurt, but it put him on the shelf for a while as it was, and a pop foul that would go back out of play.
Even when Ankiel was swinging the bat well, he was always having trouble with the high fastball, and we saw Soto stand up almost in to try to get the high fastball. It wasn't as high as he wanted it, but you could see that Ankiel did not have a good swing at it.
So Soto, after that, out to chat with Kevin Gregg. As the Cubs bullpen has now gotten busy. Marmol, the right-hander, and Sean Marshall, the left-hander. Ankiel, the left-handed hitter. Yadier Molina, a right-handed hitter, out on deck. 1-2 the count to Ankiel. Cardinals with the runner in scoring position. Lately, the Cardinals have struggled in these kind of situations as a team. They've played a lot of low-scoring games on this homestand. There's that sharp breaking ball, swing and a miss. Soto will have to throw him out after first checking Holiday at second. So Ankiel, strikeout victim number 2. Holiday still at second, now at 2 down. Neither Ludwig nor Ankiel able to move him up. And here is Molina.
Cardinals now 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position, and Gregg going to the breaking ball to get the strikeout. Nice job by Soto that time, blocking it, keeping it in front and get the out at first.
That's a nasty pitch. That comes in real and just drops almost straight down.
He's got some deception in his delivery too. It's like his arm kind of jumps at you late, and then you have the late break on the pitch.
Yadier Molina has grounded to second, popped up to second, and grounded into a double play. That's a base hit. And here comes Holiday to tie the game. That leadoff walk, the inability of Soto to block the ball in the dirt, and now the clutch 2-out hit by Molina. That is how the Cardinals tie the game.
Well, he tried to go first pitch fastball, and Molina was sitting on it and raked it in the hole between short and third. Fastball in and down, and Molina just rips it in the hole. Ramos Ramirez tries to keep it on the infield. He can't do that.
Oh. We tied it up. I love you, man. And stealing is Molina. It's a Molina steal.
Well, he was running before he even decided he was going to the plate. I mean, he was blank out there, and Molina just took off.
That is his 9th steal of the year.
See, I mean, he just takes off. I mean, no check by Gregg.
So that's an oversight by Gregg. Brendan Ryan trying to knock in the go-ahead run now. Yadier Molina shocked Kevin Gregg and the Cubs. Gregg was so focused on Ryan and gave no thought at all to the possibility that Yadier Molina would even try to steal, and Yadier got the best jump you'll ever see. 2-0. 3-0.
Well, it's interesting. Last inning, Kevin Gregg threw over with Skip Schumacher on first base a number of times with Pujols at the plate. It was unlikely he was going to run in that situation, because if they did, you walk Pujols. In this situation, he didn't pay attention to a guy that did end up stealing. Again, the mental focus and thought not there for Kevin Gregg on the mound.
The pitcher's spot is due up next. Mott is out on deck. And now we'll see ball 4 to Ryan. So whatever La Russa does here, Piniella can counter it. He's got a left-hander and a right-hander up in his bullpen. And it is Colby Rasmus, the left-handed hitter, who's going to come out of the dugout. Rasmus, who has had some big moments late in games. In fact, July the 1st, in a game where I thought the Cardinals turned their whole season around against the Giants, and a masterpiece pitch by Adam Wainwright, Colby Rasmus ended that game in the 10th inning with a game-ending home run. He's hit 15, second among all Major League rookies, not just National League rookies. And Rasmus is a guy who plays often against left-handed pitching. Piniella is going to stick with his right-hander, who of course was the closer for much of the year against lefties or righties. Rasmus, on the other hand, is only hitting .150 against left-handed pitching. So he had been much stronger, although he's faced a lot of lefties. He's hitting .286 against right-handed pitching. Marshall already in the bullpen. I guess Piniella figures, hey, if I brought in the left-hander, Rasmus probably wouldn't hit. They still have Julio Lugo available in the dugout, a right-handed hitter. And there's that breaking ball over the outside. Got the call, 1-1. There's the possible go-ahead run at second base. Yadier Molina. Brendan Ryan, a much faster runner at first base. Rasmus, 1 hit, 3 at-bats against Gregg this year. 1-2.
Now, one of the things when you look at this Cardinal roster, we talk about the depth of their starting pitching. Carpenter, Wainwright, Pinheiro, 34-9 since July 1st as the big three. Their offensive production, the middle of the lineup. I think the one issue for the Cardinals is their bench. They just don't have any real threats offensively coming off the bench, particularly to hit it out of the ballpark.
Staying with that sharp, low breaking ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Rasmus. Schumacher, the leadoff man, would be next. A run is in. The Cardinals have tied the game. 3-3, last of the 8th. 2 on, 2 out. And he struck him out with that pitch. But a leadoff walk and then a wild pitch. That set it up for the Cardinals. It is tied as we go to the 9th. 100 out-of-market games per week live on your computer. For more details, visit MLB.tv, where baseball is always on. John Miller, Joe Morgan, Steve Phillips with you. Sunday Night Baseball. And for the last time this year on a Sunday night. Next Sunday, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The new pitcher, Dennis Reyes, gets Ryan Theriot, the pinch hitter for Fontenot. And he hit the ball hard, but it was right to Brendan Ryan. And there is one away. So each manager making a move here in the ninth. Dennis Reyes, veteran lefty, in his 70th game of the year, and often just to get 1-2 outs in a game. In 69 previous games, he's pitched a total of 37 1/3 innings.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Tony La Russa likes to work the matchups with the hitters, with his bullpens. I don't know if you've noticed that or not.
No, I really hadn't, but now that you mention it.
He has really been one to kind of been a pioneer in the way he's done that, and he really works the matchups as well as anybody out there.
I remember I worked a game, and it was at Camden Yards in Baltimore, and I can't remember, 14, 15 years ago. He was still managing Oakland, and he brought in a new pitcher for each of at least 6 batters, and it might have been 7. And it was a September game where he had lots of extra pitchers. But every guy that came up, a new pitcher came in.
You go back to 1996 in his first season in St. Louis. He has shifted a player that's already in the game to a different defensive position 1,093 times. Over that span, no other team has done that more than 800 times. The only manager who's managing from 96 till now is Bobby Cox. Bobby Cox has moved the player 328 times compared to the 1,093 for Tony La Russa. He likes to manipulate the roster, interject himself into the game. It's led to a lot of victories here in St. Louis.
And that's part of the way I suppose that his general manager would build a ball club. Guys who are able to do that, guys who can play lots of different positions. La Russa having a long chat there with young Colby Rasmus, who struck out to end the 8th inning. Dennis Reyes with a 3-2 count to Andres Blanco. Schumacher, out number 2.
John, today in 1953, Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks, hit his first big league home run in 1953 on this date.
And he only hit 510 more after that.
Yeah, 510. 11, right.
I remember there have been times on Sunday Night Baseball when we have played the old videotape with Ernie hitting his 500th home run at Wrigley Field and Jack Brickhouse shouting, "Hey, hey." And it was a very exciting moment. Cubs probably have more of a video archive through WGN, their flagship station, than any team in baseball. Every once in a while they'll put together some kind of retrospective, and it is enormously entertaining. Jake Fox, the pinch hitter for Kevin Gregg. Jake Fox, who has a pretty potent bat. He is hitting .282, 10 home runs at 188 at bats in the big leagues this year. He's kind of a guy without a position. He's more of a designated hitter type. But he's hit so well that Lou Pinella's taken great pains to find a spot for him on the field.
Well, they're talking about trying him at second base. I mean, I guess they think anybody can play second base.
So, Joe, you know
what I mean?
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I know today's an anniversary date for Ernie Banks, but yesterday was a special day too, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know how special it was. I've had a few of them.
Birthday for Joe Morgan yesterday?
Yeah, but I've had a few of them. But I thank the guys for the cake last night.
Happy birthday.
On our year-end crew party. They brought out a cake.
How many was that now?
I can't remember. You know me, John. I lose track after. I'm not good on dates.
They said something about the smoke alarm went off with the candles on the cake. I don't know what happened.
Happy birthday.
But I did get them all out. So I hope the wish comes true. All right.
Good.
So Fox is aboard, and Fukudome comes up. And Fox back to the bag at first, and it could be Reyes, who's that left-handed specialist, said, I'd rather take my chances with this left-handed hitter, Fukudome, than fool around with a guy this right-handed guy who could take me out of the yard. Fastball a little bit too high. I remember when Reyes first came up, he was a Dodger, and they used him as a starting pitcher. And he reminded everybody of Fernando Valenzuela. He comes from Mexico. He's bigger than Fernando, but there was something about his build and his delivery that reminded a lot of people of Fernando, who is now a broadcaster for the Dodgers. And Reyes, well, he got the left-handed matchup, and now he's not throwing a strike to him either. And Molina goes out to chat with him. Sam Fuld, another left-handed hitter, is on deck. Boggs up in the bullpen for the Cubs. Mitchell Boggs. I'm John Bella with Joe Morgan. Happy birthday again, Joe. Yesterday. And Steve Phillips. Sunday night baseball. And those old school rivals, the Cubs and Cardinals, battling one another from the cities of St. Louis and Chicago since the 19th century. And Lou Pinella's got his book out again. Managing again. Maybe it's Tony La Russa's book. Says, what is he going to do next?
Well, he's made so many moves. He's got to be somewhere in a book.
3-3 the score in the 9th inning. The Cardinals getting close to wrapping up the Central Division title. The Cubs in second place, but way behind him. The Cardinals have won the first 2 games of this series, and they did it in walk-off style each day. Last of the 9th inning, both Friday and Saturday. That one goes right by Yadier Molina on ball 4 to Fukudome. So with 2 down and nobody on, Reyes has walked 2 in a row. And now Fuld, a left-handed hitter, is due up. Pinella doesn't have that many able-bodied players to go to at this point. And maybe why go to somebody? Why not just keep Reyes in the game? He can't throw a strike.
Well, Dave Duncan got to go out and have a conversation. That running out of players, better send the pitching coach out to fix this guy. And Dave Duncan, outstanding pitching coach, out to talk to him. And I think, we look at the Cardinals as they look ahead to the playoffs this year, but beyond. I mean, Dave Duncan and Tony La Russa are free agents as well. And I think some speculation that Tony La Russa may stay, but that Dave Duncan, who's been his longtime pitching coach, may be moving on and leaving the organization. An awfully tough loss, as he is thought to be one of the best pitching coaches in the game. You look at all the potential free agents there, and I think that when you look at all the decisions that they have to make, the one thing they have to keep in mind, Albert Pujols is a free agent after the 2010 season. They cannot lock up any long-term dollars that cost them any way of keeping Albert Pujols in a Cardinal uniform. Matt Holliday, obviously, I think the biggest price tag of anybody there.
Well, there's no doubt that you have to save money for Pujols.
John Mozeliak.
Or go ahead and sign him early.
Mozeliak, the general manager of the Cardinals. Well, Giacotti, formerly the general manager, now in that job with the Cincinnati Reds. And helping him out here was Aaron Miles, the pinch hitter for Sam Fuld. Pinella checked that book, decided to go with the former Cardinal Miles, who's having a really bad year, hitting .181.
Hurt a good part of the season.
0-1 the count. And he chases the low slider. Strike 2. I'm saying that he's not seeing the ball real well.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Reyes was having trouble throwing strikes, and he's helped him out.
Quickly 0-2 to Aaron Miles, who hit .317 for the Cardinals last year. .181 for the Cubs. Off the outside. 1-2. The Cubs looking for that big hit. And with Derek Lee on deck, they might just just get on base. And let's take our chances with Derek Lee having a big year. Fox at second, Fukudome at first. And again, he tries that backdoor slider, but it stays outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
A number of these pinch hit situations, you think if Milton Bradley was still on the bench, he'd be available, but suspended before the game today.
Suspended for the rest of the season by General Manager Jim Hendry. 2-2 the count. Strike three call. So it goes for the former Cardinal, Miles, now a Cub. 2 men stranded, still 3-3. Top of the order, Schumacher, DeRosa, Pujols. Another walk-off, we'll see. Won 2 games, breaking a tie in the last of the ninth inning this weekend, Friday night. It was Matt Holliday at the plate. Last of the ninth inning, and somehow that line drive made it over the wall into the bullpen. Game over. Cardinals with a 3-2 win. Then yesterday, it was Brendan Ryan against Carlos Marmol. Base hit. And that broke a 1-1 tie. Mark DeRosa scored the winner. And the Cardinals with a 2-1 victory. Now here we are, Sunday Night Baseball. Last time the Cardinals had 3 consecutive so-called walk-off wins was 9 years ago at the beginning of September against the Mets. And of course the Mets that year ended up in the World Series, the Subway Series against the Yankees. But for 3 days at the beginning of September, you wouldn't have thought so. Maybe you recall those 3
I
years.
do recall those days, and it started the September swoon again as the Mets had done that back-to-back years. We see Sean Marshall, and he had started some this year and coming out of the bullpen as they added depth to that rotation. And a guy that Lou Piniella has called upon quite a bit this year. Typically handle left-handed batters, but also has that ability to get right-handers out as well.
And if you look at the Cubs, I mean, it hasn't been their pitching this year. I mean, last year their team earned run average was 3.87. It's 3.89 at the start of the day. So, I mean, these guys have pitched well enough to continue winning. They just have not been able to hit with runners in scoring position. They've had a lot of opportunities over the course of the season, and they have not been able to come through. So it's more their offense than it is their pitching.
And a lot of key offensive figures down with injury or ineffective. Right through the legs, and Schumacher's got a base hit to center field. His second hit of the night. That's Fukudome, by the way, back in center field. Jake Fox, after pinch hitting for the pitcher, stayed in the game to play left field. And Taguchi has moved to right field. You got that?
Got it.
So it's
you know, we talk about all the hitters on the Cardinals team, but you know, Skip is having a really good year. Schumacher hitting over 300. I mean, he's been doing very, very well all season long.
Aaron Heilman, a right-hander, is being brought in, and Sean Marshall apparently is not going to go play left field.
As he did last time we were in Chicago. Interesting here. What do you do if you're Tony La Russa? You got Mark DeRosa coming up. I mean, do you hit and run? Do you bunt him over and say, okay, if they walk Pujols, I got Matt Holliday coming up? I don't think you bunt him myself, but
he's got 21 home runs.
Yeah.
I believe on Friday he did bunt him, or Saturday he bunted him, and he failed, and he got on base and then advanced to second base and scored on the Brendan Ryan base hit, but hitting at a little different spot in the lineup tonight. They got Pujols and Holliday behind you.
Now, if he bunts him, then they walk Pujols.
Well, that would be the normal thought, because Holliday can hit into a double play and you can get out of it with only facing the one hitter, one batter. But I don't know, Tony does things his own way sometimes. I'm not sure. I think.
So I'm thinking hit and run. I'm thinking hit and run.
Now you're thinking like I think. That's a hit. I think a hit and run would be more.
All right, then I change it. I think he's good.
No, I think a hit and run
makes
more appropriate.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I do too. I think that's the way you go.
Plus, the Cardinals don't have a whole lot of speed.
Right.
Albert Pujols really had been their best base stealer, but Schumacher, although he's a leadoff guy, he's not the prototype of a leadoff man. He's only stolen 2 bases. So Aaron Heilman with Albert Pujols looming large on deck, and DeRosa coming up. DeRosa's had a long chat with the third base coach, Jose Oquendo, who has been telling him, I guess, what Tony La Russa has in mind.
Well, even if they hit and run and they execute it properly and move the runner to third base, they're still going to walk Albert. So either way you look at it, he may not bat this inning.
By the way, we mentioned the reworked Cubs outfield. Also, Ryan Theriot, who pinch hit for Fontenot, stays in to play shortstop. And Blanco has moved from shortstop over to second base. They've only got 2 players, non-pitchers, left on their bench. By my accounting, Jeff Baker and Coy Hill. Hill is the backup catcher. So here we go. Let's find out what Tony La Russa has in mind. And is that throw designed to see if he indicated bunt? Or?
They were trying to find out what Tony La Russa was doing as well. Good job by DeRosa, if he is bunting, not to give it away.
The other thing is, if you hit and run, at least you could stay out of the double play.
Yeah.
And give Albert a chance to swing. He's going to bunt. And he bunts it foul. He has not had a successful execution of a sacrifice bunt as a Cardinal. He did get one down for Cleveland earlier this year.
Kind of jabbing at the ball a little bit, keeping his back back his body instead of getting it out in front, just catching the ball on the back.
But I do say one thing, that tells you that Matt Holliday has made a big difference as far as his ball club's concerned, because without Holliday, there is no way you would bunt in front of Albert Pujols in the bat and take the bat out of his hand.
Aramis Ramirez shortened up at third. Derek Lee on the bag at first with Schumacher. He would get a later break if he's still bunting, because he's got a hold against that runner until the pitch is thrown. Mark DeRosa 1 for 4 in the game. He hit one well his last time, deep to left. Turned into a nice catch by Bobby Scales, who was out there at that time. And in the outfield now, it's Fox in left, Fukudome in center, and Taguchi in right. He's showing bunt. Gets this one down. Heilman slips, regains his footing, and the put out at first base from Blanco, the second baseman.
Well executed, Mark DeRosa. At least got it down and made Aaron Heilman make a play. And there were times in the past where Aaron Heilman had difficulty fielding the ball and throwing it to first base. He doesn't have that in-between touch. So DeRosa kind of still jabs at it, but able to put it in play. Heilman not as athletic as some other pitchers.
Well, the fans are all excited, thinking that Albert's going to hit.
Right. Yeah, well, you see Heilman make the play, kind of rolled his ankle a little bit as he came off the mound. Watch his right ankle kind of roll a little bit on the ground right there. Catches himself.
Well, they are booing now as Albert Pujols is definitely being walked. No surprise there.
Yeah, they were all excited, thinking that Albert was going to get a chance to drive in the winning run, but no such luck.
It's just like the Cubs to walk Albert. Are you kidding? Cardinal fans outraged. But Tony La Russa is not surprised. And Tony La Russa, his strategy led to this. So obviously, as you said, Joe, he figures, hey, Matt Holliday at the plate with the game on the line, I'll take those odds. Lou Piniella is not going to let Heilman face Holliday, though.
Well, I would think he wouldn't bring anyone in unless it's Marmol. But Marmol's not up throwing anymore.
It is Caridad, number 33, Esmailin Caridad.
That's interesting.
So, Matt Holliday, who ended the game with a home run in the bottom of the 9th inning Friday, with a chance to get another walk-off tonight. 3-3. We'll be right back. Not Carlos Marmol in relief of the veteran Heilman, but rather a rookie, Ismailin Caridad. Caridad recalled from AAA Iowa just 2 weeks ago. He also pitched briefly back in August, but I think we're a little bit surprised that all of a sudden Aaron Heilman, the veteran, a right-hander no less, is out of the game. But we saw the replay that Steve pointed out where Heilman rolled his ankle fielding that bunt.
Well, but what I saw is when Lou Piniella went out to the mound and he made the call, he was telling Soto, watch, he's going to tell him, I want somebody that can throw the ball. That's what he wanted. I'm going to go after him with fastballs. He wants someone with a good enough fastball that he thinks they can challenge Holliday. So we'll see what happens. But that's what he was talking about. I want somebody that can let it go. That's what he said.
So you think there's nothing to do with getting hurt,
no,
but rather
I think
he wants a different kind of a pitcher.
He wants a different kind of a guy.
Now Caridad to Matt Holliday. And a little smoke there at 93 miles an hour.
Comes right after him. And I think that's what he wants. I think they feel like, a lot of teams feel like that Holliday doesn't handle the fastball in as well as he does a lot of the other pitches. And there he goes back inside.
Possible winning run at second base. That was just a little bit off the corner.
There it is again. But I mean, they set up inside. They're going to pitch him inside. That looked like another good pitch.
Well, Holliday questioned that first high fastball. And we've seen Todd Tishner call that high fastball last week and again tonight. That fastball down looked like a pretty good pitch, but they didn't get the call.
There is Schumacher at second. The man Holliday is trying to get home.
And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to stay in with the fastball. That one was out over the plate, but they still feel like that if you have a good enough fastball, you can challenge Matt Holliday.
Well, the first half of the year when he was still with Oakland, the frustration in Oakland was that he was not able to catch up with the high heat at all.
Well, that's what they think here.
He's staying with that high hard one, fouled back to the screen.
It's interesting that Lou Piniella would do that on the mound in plain view because I was watching him and I saw him do it. I knew exactly what he meant. He said, I want somebody that can go after him. I want a good fastball, and that's why he made the change.
I guess you figured he didn't have to keep it a secret. It would be evident soon enough. And he hit him! With a 2-strike count, he hit him. And instead of putting him away, he puts him on. The bases are loaded. And Barry Weinberg, the veteran trainer, out to see if Holliday is okay.
John, that's one of the reasons I do not like the catcher to stand up. You know, we see a lot of catchers now stand up because they want the high fastball. Well, he wanted a high fastball there, but he stood up. And I just think that it gives the pitcher a different look as well. Now watch, he wants the high fastball. Well, he gave him the motion before he threw the pitch. See how he raises up? I just think that you're giving the pitcher a different target. I mean, he had thrown 3 straight strikes, and Holliday had not caught up with any of them. Just let it go.
Now, one of the advantages right now for the Cardinals is Ryan Ludwig is the most significant fly ball hitter in the major leagues. His fly ball to ground ball ratio of any hitter in the major leagues is the highest. So you're looking for a guy to lift the ball to get a sacrifice fly, you've got the right guy at the plate.
Well, he's had 2 strikeouts and 2 flyouts. So if he can put it in play, chances are he will hit a fly ball. Although one of them wasn't just a fly ball, he hit it very well.
One of those was a 2-run double or triple in the making until Fukudome made a spectacular catch on it. So Ryan Ludwig, who is hitting .341 with runners in scoring position. Only one Cardinal has done better in these clutch at bats, and his name is Albert Pujols. The outfielders are all in. They have to come into a spot where they can catch a fly ball and still keep Schumacher from scoring. The middle infield, though, will try and turn a double play. They're not all the way in. The outfielders are very shallow. Well, this could be 2. There's 1. Terrio to first. Off the bag. The tag. He's safe. He's safe. The ball game is over. Kerwin Danley said that Derek Lee missed the tag.
Well, John, what happened there?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's what I was
going to say. The second base umpire is coming over, Marty Foster, and he might be saying that Holiday went out of the baseline and had no chance to touch the bag, and that becomes a double play.
That's exactly what happened. I was watching because I wanted to see Holiday was getting a big lead at first base, and he was going to be down, come across and put pressure on Terrio.
Well, La Russa's going out with Marty Foster over to second base, and Foster, I guess, is showing him the skid marks, the evidence at the scene of the crime.
Yeah, he's showing him this slide mark right out here, which is too far away from the base right there. And he's saying that's where Matt Holliday went to try to break up that double play.
You've got to be able to make contact with the bag when you make that slide and when you're trying to take out the infielder.
Well, he had a big lead. See, he was almost down there already. He comes across, and he does not go near the bag. You can see he's aiming directly at Terrio, and there you see look where he is laying on the ground. There's no way he could reach the bag. Terrio comes across, and there he is right there. But I still thought Terrio had time enough to get rid of the ball before he got there.
And then you see right after the play, Marty Foster said, no, he's out at second, and he's out at first. That's the penalty. If you go after the infielder without a chance to tag the bag at second, then it automatically becomes a double play regardless of what happened with the throw at first base. So Holiday a little over aggressive there, trying to break up that double play, and in fact turns out ironically creating the double play.
Well, it was interesting because before the next pitch I wanted to mention that they were playing all or nothing, and they were putting a lot of pressure on the infielders, middle infielders, because Holiday was getting a big lead at first base.
Now, I say creating double play. If he hadn't gone out of the baseline as far as he did, maybe Terrio makes the accurate throw, because it was a double play ball anyway.
I think what happened is he comes across the bag, and Holiday is right in his face. And he loses sight of first base as he's coming through, because Holiday's right in his line of sight. Then as he throws the ball, he sees he's got to get it around his head. The tails will throw down the line a little bit. Derek Lee comes off, not able to make the tag, as the call at first base by Kerwin Danley was safe until overruled by Marty Foster.
Well, the one thing that happens, though, if you're the middle infielder, you're Terrio. I mean, everybody knows that you're supposed to throw at his head. If he comes in standing up or he comes in high, you're supposed to throw at him and not necessarily throw around him and make a wild throw to first base. You're supposed to force him to get down, and I think if he would have thrown right at him, he would have made him duck and get out of the way.
Mitchell Boggs into pitch. Lou Piniella, meanwhile, has been out with the plate umpire Todd Titchener, trying to figure out the latest round of La Russa's moves. Looking perhaps for a loophole in there, something to which he could object. Looking for maybe another rule that could work in his favor against a man who actually passed the bar exam at one time years ago, Tony La Russa. Earl Weaver, when La Russa first became a manager, Earl Weaver was managing a Baltimore, and whenever he was going to face Tony, who was with the White Sox, he said, "Oh, so tonight we're going to play a little lawyer ball." Saw the changes for the Cardinals. Skip Schumacher, who was an outfielder who became the second baseman this year. And he becomes an outfielder here in the 10th inning. The big hitters are up for the Cubs against Boggs. Julio Lugo at second base in the number 9 spot in the order. Ryan Ludwig removed from the game in the double switch, and Boggs will hit the spot where Ludwig had been, which is not due up until 9th in the next go-round. Ludwig is the man who hit the double play ball to end the inning.
Boggs give Tony La Russa an option to get multiple innings. He started 9 games this year, among the 12 in which he's participated, so a guy that can give some length if needed.
Derek Lee right through the middle, base hit. Derek's first hit in this game. He walked in the 8th inning and is now 1 for 4. And the slugging cleanup man, Aramis Ramirez, will come up. Ramirez, who suffered a shoulder separation earlier this year, diving for a ground ball, and he really has not been at 100% efficiency since coming back, although the numbers are pretty good. .320 batting average. Lou Piniella said before the game that they had at one time thought maybe he would need a little more surgery in the offseason to fully clean up the shoulder area, but he says now the doctors are thinking maybe he won't, just the offseason of rest, and he should be at full strength by next year.
Well, and that swing right there on his follow through, when he follows through with his left arm, it looked like something bothered him there because he kind of shook his shoulder and wiggled his arm a little bit, sometimes hyperextending that shoulder.
Right to shortstop. Caught. Back to first. Double play.
That's just bad base running from Derek Lee right there.
And the Cubs as a team are a group of bad base runners. They run into outs. They do not go from first to third on plays when they should. They do not take the extra base. That is not the ball that you should be doubled off on. First of all, when you're on first place, you look around to see where the infielders are playing, and you look to see where the outfielders are playing. And if that happens, you will not get doubled off in that situation. You know it's a line drive at the shortstop.
Taguchi shows bunt, takes a slider for a strike. Both of these teams are running short on non-pitchers available on the bench. Position players. The Cardinals, by my reckoning, really only have Jason LaRue because Troy Gloss is on the roster, but he's not available.
No.
He's hurt. Marmol up in the Cubs bullpen with 2 down and nobody on. Strike 2 to Taguchi. Taguchi got a base hit as a pinch hitter in the 8th inning. The Cubs still have Jeff Baker, an infielder, and their backup catcher, Coy Hill. Sharp breaking ball there, too long. 2-2. Cardinals have left 11 men on base in this game. The Cubs 8. Did he swing? An appeal. No, says Colonel Danley.
Well, it certainly looked like the barrel of that bat went too far from my vantage point up here, but I am quite a ways from the field.
3-2. And that is a big call. Taguchi, who might have been out, got a reprieve, and now he's aboard as the possible go-ahead run with an infield hit.
Taguchi, not a burner, but a guy that could steal a base, and you see if Lou Piniella tries to manufacture a run here, trying to get him in scoring position.
I don't think with Yadier Molina back there, you better just send anybody.
2 outs right now.
Yeah, you better.
Yadier is a weapon.
He wants him to throw over first anyway. Let's see if he can catch him loafing over there.
Well, you saw that thumb sign that he gave to the pitcher, to Boggs. That meant throw to first base.
Giovanni Soto 0 for 4 in the game. Molina. Fastball in there for a strike. Against the Cardinals this year, there have only been 36 bases stolen by all the teams they played in 150 games. And not just Molina, but all the Cardinal catchers have thrown out 25. So it's a low success proposition to begin with, and most teams don't even take the risk.
Well, a lot of it has to do, their pitchers do a good job of holding runners as well. You know, Carpenter, Wainwright, a lot of these guys make sure that they're conscious of the fact that if they give Molina a chance, he'll throw someone out.
Now the Cardinals. Rick Ankiel, Yadier Molina, Brendan Ryan looking for the walk-off win. 10th inning, 3-3. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Steve Phillips from Busch Stadium, St. Louis. And in the ninth inning, the Cardinals had a chance, and we thought for a moment they had one when the runner at first was called safe, but at second base, Holliday broke the rules, and it was scored as a double play as a result. As he obstructed the shortstop trying to make that play illegally. He doesn't have to pay a fine. He doesn't go to jail or anything. Doesn't get suspended, but his that runner going to first called out as a result. LaRusso went out to argue, and I liked what Marty Foster did. He just walked Tony right over to second base and said, well, let's look at the evidence, Tony. Look where the slide mark is. No way that he had any chance to get to the bag when he slid way over here.
That's what a lawyer would understand,
yeah.
Right?
Showed him the evidence.
Exhibit A, Your Honor. And Smiling Caridad, the rookie, into his first Cubs-Cardinal game. And he's the man who got that double play ball to get out of a tight spot, to say the least. The bases were loaded. And Rick Ankiel, unable to catch up with the high heat. It's 0-2.
We talked earlier about the Cubs pitching this year about the same as it was last year. One of the differences, they've had 13 walk-off losses this season. 22 losses, and the other teams at bat, but 13 walk-off losses, and they've had some heartbreakers in 2009.
Including 2 days in a row this weekend here in St. Louis. At the knees, strike three call.
Well, they tried to throw the fastball up on Ankiel so often, he was probably looking for the ball up. And this is a low fastball after a couple of high fastballs. He wasn't able to pick it up. Although they asked for another high fastball, but he got the low one right on the knees.
Well, you know, a lot of times when rosters expand, young guys get an opportunity to start to showcase what they can do. And Lou Piniella obviously knew something about Caridad before he brought him in, and he is living up to it here because he is an electric fastball.
Javier Molina right down the third base line. Foul! Oh, that was awfully close.
Ramirez is in the no doubles strategy. I mean, he's close to the line. Well, he's walking off now, but he was very close to the line. He's not as close as you see some third baseman, but oof, man, good call. Very close.
Of course, it's not where it is when it bounces
Right.
after it's
Doesn't
past
have
the
to
bag.
hit the line.
It's where it is as it's passing the bag. And he powers one right by him. Strike three. He's got some gas. Caridad, 2 strikeouts in a row to start the inning. But he didn't strike out Ludwig in the 9th inning, but got him to hit the double play ball, which, with the bases loaded, was absolutely what they needed. Brendan Ryan, who was the hero yesterday, he hit a home run for their only run until the 9th inning, at which point he singled home the winning run. Tonight he's been hit by a pitch, hit one back to the pitcher, struck out, walked, and this time pops it up. There is Soto. And Caridad shuts them down to the 11th inning. Terrio coming up. For the Cubs, it's 3-3. And Cardinals are in a 3-3 tie here as we go to the 11th inning. Coming up on SportsCenter, the Jets, they stunned the Patriots, and an unexpected day of NFL endings, and a conversation with Peyton Manning.
Well, both of the West Coast teams won.
Well, they didn't have enough space for 11 innings on the scoreboard here at the new Busch Stadium. So they start over again with the 11th. Ryan Terrio leads off. Terrio, the regular shortstop of the Cubs, was ostensibly getting a little bit of a breather tonight, but he entered the game as a pinch hitter in the 9th inning. Now in the 11th, facing Mitchell Boggs, fouling the fastball back to the screen. It's 0-2. Terrio, then Andres Blanco, and then Jake Fox. The 7, 8, 9 spots in the order, but with some new names. Oh man, that slider just broke him down big time. One away.
There's been so many different plays and at-bats in this game where the Chicago Cubs just mentally do not look into the game. And Ryan Terrio is a guy who's normally I think a grinder during the course of the season, but had the day off coming in this one. And That was an at-bat that his focus just was not there. We've seen Giovanni Soto chase balls up in his eyes in multiple at-bats tonight.
Now Andres Blanco has struck out, doubled a home run, and twice grounded out to second. Very high from Boggs. The 6th Cardinals pitcher, the starter, Adam Wainwright, went 7, 3 runs, 2 earned on 5 hits allowed. He had 10 strikeouts. That's a base hit to right. Blanco is 2 for 5. He was the guy who started at short in place of Terrio tonight.
Nice quick bat.
So Blanco is aboard, and in the bullpen for the Cubs, that is Justin Berg. So Marmol, at this point, as long as they've got other able-bodied arms out there, Marmol is going to be preserved just for a spot where they go ahead. Now that they've got a man on base and perhaps could do something to put a run home, and Marmol looks like he's going to get out. So Blanco, the runner at first. Blanco has 2 steal attempts in his brief big league experience this year, but no actual steals. That's a foul, a check swing foul that got a piece of Yadier Molina.
Pinella doesn't let that manager's manual get too far away from him in that dugout. Checking it again. The 11th inning, late September. What page do you have to look at for that? There's Alan Trammell, his bench coach, over by the railing.
That ball into deep left center field. That ball is way back there. It's gone. Jake Fox has untied it, showing off some of that power, which is considerable. Jake Fox with his 11th home run of the year. And now Marmol will get ready with purpose out in the bullpen. 5-3 Cubs.
John, you mentioned it earlier last time at bat that they might want to walk Fox, pitched around him. This guy can hit a fastball. I mean, he's a very good fastball hitter, and he attacks this fastball almost exactly where he would have set it on a tee. And when he puts a charge into it, he knows it's gone. And the Cubs have a 2-run lead.
Ball 1 to Fukudome. It's 11 home runs for Fox in 189 big league at bats. He was setting the minor leagues on fire when they brought him up.
I don't think there's any doubt that he can hit, and they've talked about that, but he just doesn't have a position at this time.
You go up and ask him what position he plays. He says hitter.
Hit. Batter's box.
Yep, I'm a hitter.
Fox had slowed down his last 24 games, hitting only .233. He was hitting beautifully after first being recalled. Jake Fox, and he may be the hero here in a Cubs-Cardinal game. Fox, who was originally drafted as a catcher out of the University of Michigan, and made his major league debut at catcher back in July against the Cardinals. Second base. I think second base. I think that rings true.
Well, let me tell you, it's not that easy to play. Everybody thinks it is, but it's not.
He'd be an offensive second baseman.
Joe, he looks like a hitter to me.
He is a hitter. I mean, fastball, look at that. I mean, right about it. He got the barrel of the bat out there very well. Ball a little in, and when he touched it off, he knew it was a home run. And he swung at it like he was trying to hit a home run. That was not your singles swing.
Well, he's played 5 different positions in the field this year. He's been in right field, left field, first base, third base, and catcher, but not second base.
Well, he's got a lot to learn to play there.
He's not really built like a second base.
No, he is not.
We are in the 11th inning in St. Louis. The Chicago Cubs have just gone ahead of the Cardinals on a 2-run homer by Jake Fox. Brad Thompson, a right-hander, up in the Cardinal bullpen. Cubs closer Carlos Marmol getting ready for the last of the 11th inning. Save opportunity. Miles, or rather Coy Hill was the hitter here. Coy Hill hits into the force play. Coy Hill pinch hitting for the pitcher Caridad. Hits into the fourth, and with 2 down, that keeps the inning going for Derek Lee. Lee wasn't even out of the on-deck circle yet. Marmol getting ready in the bullpen. In the Cardinals' 11th inning against Marmol, as Lee steps to the plate, Lugo will be scheduled to lead off. Remember, he came in as part of a double switch. He has not batted in this game yet. Lugo, and then Schumacher, DeRosa. And if somebody gets aboard, Albert Pujols would come up with a chance to do some big time damage. Pujols due 4th, Holiday 5th. They need to get somebody on base to get that man to the plate, and that will be their best shot, you would expect, for a comeback in this game. And behind him, that man, Matt Holiday. 5-3 Cubs. And back to the screen, foul.
Jake Faulkner talked about that power, and you see it just about jumps out of his shoes on that home run swing. Almost falls over. He was swinging so hard at it.
Doesn't look like a second baseman.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He looks like a hitter.
Yeah.
But a hitter that needs to, they need to have been there.
Well, Lou Piniella said his best position is first base, and the problem is they've got Derek Lee locked up right there. You see, watch this swing. Watch him fall over after he hits it. He's got everything he can. He's left his shoes at home plate. He jumped out of those. It's a line shot swing. That's a line drive swing. That's just a big, strong guy. Pretty short stroke though for a strong guy.
Derek Lee, 1 ball, 2 strikes to count to him.
Well, you know what? It tells me that they may have to trade him to an American League team so he can get DH and get that left-handed hitting outfielder that they're looking for.
That's what Lou keeps wanting, is that run producer behind Ramirez and Lee.
High in the air along the right field line. Albert Pujols. Nope, not quite.
I find it difficult for a guy that's, been a catcher to learn to play another position in the big leagues. It's hard. I've seen guys who have been in the big leagues for quite a while just move over to a different, third base or first base. But
Craig Biggio,
yeah,
to second
a lot
base.
of guys. You can do that move if you've been playing in the big leagues. When you're learning to play in the big leagues and playing a new position, it's very difficult.
1-2 the count. There's a guy, and I think he's with the Marlins. Is he with the Marlins or with Washington now? He used to be with the Marlins. Josh Willingham.
Yeah.
And he was a guy much like Fox, real bona fide credentials as a minor league slugger. But he'd been a catcher, then a third baseman, and they moved him to the outfield in Florida.
Well, the problem in the outfield is you've got Alfonso Soriano playing left field, and he's on your books for a lot, so he's going to play there. You got to have a center fielder who can go get the ball. So I don't know exactly, where he's going to play.
2-2 the count. Just off the outside to Derek Lee.
Well, in the National League, he's going to play a day at first base, a day at third base, a day in left field, and maybe a day catching if they think he can do that. He has caught some, and we actually saw him catch in the game. But in the National League, he's going to have to be that super sub that can swing the bat.
And that is a walk. And over to second base goes Hill. And Aramis Ramirez will come up with a chance to do some damage. Cubs cleanup man. Sports Center's coming up right after the ball game. The big day in the NFL. Jets had a big win over the Patriots. And the whole story, including a conversation with Peyton Manning. His older brother, by the way, is on Monday Night Football on ESPN tomorrow night.
Well, the Jets walked the walk after they talked the talk. So they did exactly what they said they were going to do, except they didn't embarrass them, but they beat them.
Slider in the dirt for ball 1. Well, that alone might be synonymous with being embarrassed.
Yeah.
For the Patriots, they don't lose too many.
They kept talking and they backed it up.
By the way, Peyton is tomorrow night on Monday Night Football. Eli
was tonight.
Is the kid brother.
They played tonight. Lost. They won. I guess they won.
And that's a strike to Aramis Ramirez. Those Mannings, Archie's kids. Now, Yadier Molina is going to go out to chat with Mitchell Boggs. 2 men on, 2 men out. 44,937, the official paid crowd at Busch Stadium. And some of the folks are thinking, you know, we got to go to work in a few hours and get the kids to school. And they're behind now anyway.
But good fans here, certainly, and watching a heck of a ball game. And, you know, Aramis Ramirez, talk about his last time up. He followed through on a swing. We talk about that dislocated shoulder. Watch after the swing. He follows through with that bat, lets go of the bat, look at him extend, and then watch after the swing how he kind of wiggles that shoulder. Something didn't feel quite right.
But it hadn't stopped him from swinging hard.
No, he's swinging again. But, you know, you let go of that bat, and that bat starts to come around. You can kind of stretch out that shoulder, and that's that shoulder he dislocated, his left shoulder.
And Boggs having a hard time throwing a strike.
Well, that happens after you give up a home run, John.
He gave up the home run with 1 out. 2-run shot to Fox, then walked the next hitter, Fukudome. Hill hit a 4-shot, then he walked Derek Lee. And now he has issued his 3rd walk of the inning since the home run, and Tony La Russa pops up out of the dugout. So Boggs may have gifted himself right out of the game. Thompson, the right-hander, has been summoned. 3 men on, 2 men out. Taguchi coming up. A line shot into left center field, into the bleachers against Mitchell Boggs. And then afterward, he went over and had a brief chat with Coach Alan Trammell.
Well, if we can read lips accurately, it looked like he says, call on me more often. And Trammell got a good laugh out of it.
Trammell said, you see that guy right there in the middle? That guy right there? That's the guy you need to talk to. He makes those decisions.
Alan Trammell, former great big league shortstop with the Tigers for many, many years. Former big league manager himself, now the bench coach for Lou Piniella. And there's a first pitch curveball in for a strike to Taguchi with the bases loaded here.
Trammell and Whitaker for a long time there in Detroit.
It was
the longest running double play combination in history. 0-2. Next Sunday, 1 o'clock. Remember, Sunday Night Baseball in the afternoon. From the new Yankee Stadium, the Yankees and the Red Sox. Maybe a postseason preview. That is going to get a run home. Molina could not block that breaking ball in the dirt. Scoring is Hill. Lee to third, Ramirez to second. 6-3.
Well, Thompson throws the breaking ball. Molina tries to shift over, but it kicks back on him. And it's one thing to try to block the ball, but when you miss by that much, it makes it very difficult as he has to shift wide to his right, almost in the middle of the left-handed batter's box.
And he chases the slider, strike three. But 3 runs have scored for the Cubs. And Carlos Marmol, the Cubs closer, will at long last be summoned. Jake Fox broke the tie with the home run. Fox will head back out to left field. And Marmol will try and wrap this one up. And the Cardinals need base runners with Lugo, Schumacher, DeRosa coming up. At least one of them will have to get on board for Albert Pujols to come up. But even if there's just one man on, Albert would not be able to do it now as a result of that wild pitch. So they need more than just one base runner at this point. So Albert due up fourth, and that man, Matt Holliday, due up fifth. The Cardinals tied the ball game in the 8th inning. When Holliday led off with a walk, was wild pitch to second, and then Molina singled it home. And then the double play that wasn't, and then was, because Holliday went out of the baseline at second in the takeout of Terrio, and the double play actually held, and then Jake Fox. But the game's still going. A 2-run homer here in the 11th to put the Cubs out in front. Jake Fox. You know, for a long time, a guy who's with the Oakland Athletics now in the American League, where he can be a DH, although he sometimes plays the outfield, Jack Cust. He was a guy that never really got a shot for any long period of time in the big leagues, although he had spectacular minor league numbers, but he was a guy without a position.
So there's hope for a guy like Jake Fox, and I think you're right, Joe. If there's not a place for him to fit on the Cubs, then maybe there's a place in a deal where he can bring them back what they're looking for.
Yeah, because he can swing the bat, but again, he may be in the best position in the batter's box, which means he has to play in the American League as a DH.
So Coy Hill stays in to catch, with the Marmol in the pitch. And it just passed the witching hour in the Eastern Time Zone. Good evening and good morning. John Miller, Joe Morgan, Steve Phillips. Sunday Night Baseball, our final Sunday night of our 20th season on ESPN, as Marmol is too high with a fastball to Julio Lugo. Now, much heralded was the acquisition of Matt Holliday. Less discussed around baseball outside of St. Louis, the acquisition of Julio Lugo. Lugo has been a great addition to the Cardinals. Left center field, Fox is going back, and one away. Lugo. I think that would have done some damage at Fenway Park.
Definitely. But you're right. Julio Lugo has given Tony La Russa some more players that are versatile enough to play a lot of different positions. He's hit well. He's done a great job since he's been here. I have to say, I was always wondering that the Red Sox were always down on him, but they won a championship with him. I've never understood that.
Here now is Schumacher. Fastball. And I guess it was off the inside. Ball one. Carlos Marmol, every year he puts up numbers that are eye-popping. And it's no different this year. Coming into this game tonight, 69 innings pitched, only 41 hits allowed, 85 strikeouts. All spectacular numbers, closer-type numbers, except 69 innings, 62 walks. That's a strike.
When you see a guy throw a fastball, he threw it to Lugo, He hits a fly ball. He throws him another fastball. He misses. Now he comes back with a breaking ball. I mean, get in the groove with your fastball. You have a 3-run lead. Like that. Just throw it a couple of times. Now if you want to throw a slider, that's fine. But he should come out, if he's got a 3-run lead, get in the groove with the fastball, then go to your breaking ball.
You can see why he walks so many guys, though. Watch how his upper body folds over as he goes to the plate.
Wow. Not that hard, is it? If you just let it go, if you got great stuff. But, I mean, you do not have to throw everyone a breaking ball.
Now our Chevrolet player of the game, and we're going with Jake Fox. 2-run homer in the 11th. Cubs trying to avoid being swept by their arch rivals, the Cardinals, this weekend. Chevrolet proud to recognize today's best and tomorrow's future, supporting youth baseball nationwide. Last chance for the Cardinals. By the way, Marmol, 62 walks, and he's hit 12. So he has given away 74 base runners. DeRosa. And there is the game. Taguchi in the right field corner. And the Cubs, in their finale with the Cardinals this year, come up a winner. Next Sunday, we'll be at Yankee Stadium.